Hello there everyone and welcome to EscapeAoE and a best of 9 show match between Vivi and Nicov. I am very excited for this series and continuing on with our Friday best of 9 show matches, we're going to have another awesome series ahead of us today. Very much, like I say, looking forward to it. These two players have been in the community for such a long time and I've always been so excited to watch Nicov. And I've always been so interested to watch the Fat Dragon, aka Vivi, as he just has a very weird and wonderful playstyle, which hopefully we'll get to see in all of its glory today during this best of 9. They're playing for $150. The winner takes all. Although, in the case of last week, where it was Miguel against Fire, they actually decided to split the prize money since it was such a short, not short, but close series. It was actually a very long series. It was actually one of the longest series we had last week, going to all 9 games. And who knows, maybe this will also go to 9 games as well. We're always hopeful here that we'll get as many games as possible during this series, as the more the merrier, right? The more games, the more excitement and the more variety that we're going to get to see. We get to see a lot of different civs. We get to see a lot of different approaches to the map, which is Arabia. All of these games will be played on Arabia, but there will be different civs each game, as players have to pick a different civ once they picked a civilization. So, for example, if they pick the Huns, they can't pick the Huns again for the rest of the series. So once it's gone, it's gone. So they've got to choose wisely and they've got to pick carefully. Although both players will be picking their civilizations with the hidden pick option, which means that they will both be sort of unable to see what their opponent has chosen. So there won't be any counter picking going on, at least not direct counter picking. There may be some sort of strategy into picking civs, but I think in this sort of setting, it's probably much better for players to actually pick civilizations based on their own strengths than trying to pick civilizations that they anticipate will counter what their opponent may pick or may not pick. But, in AoE2, there's not really so many hard counter civs anyway. It's not like you're going to randomly pick the Goths here in the hope that your opponent takes the Mayans or something. And even in that case, it's not even like it's a hard counter or anything like that. So, looking forward to this. Wonder the Nomad in the chat asking if the old points will carry over for the betting. No, they will not. Yeah, all the points will be reset for the betting, and you'll be able to start from scratch. We're actually going to be doing that for all of our events, all of the AoE3, AoE2 show matches. We'll be running betting for the event. But at the end of it, we will take a look at the top 5 bettors and see who came out on top. Hello to the other members of the chat. I see you out there. Z Regan, welcome to you. And Tekken Escape, yes, hello. How can I sponsor a match? Well, you can always just private messages and tell us what you would like to see, and we can see what we can do about it. It's not just me. There's a whole team of us here. There's 4 of us at the studio here in Manchester. So if you message the EscapeAoE account, someone in the office will get back to you. Hello there, Paladin and Night Sword. Thank you for tuning in as well. And yeah, we're going to get this series going very shortly here. I'm just telling the players that they are good to go. Fat Dragon's given me a 14 in the game lobby, so he's ready to go. And Nicov is ready as well. Fun fact, Nikov's now living in Italy, even though he's from Argentina. So his ping to Vivi is actually going to be slightly better because he's no longer halfway around the world from Vivi. I've probably said this before, and you may have heard me say this before, but if you drill a hole through China, through the middle of the earth and out the other side, you'll come out in the middle of Argentina. So I guess depending on where in China you drill. But no one's going to do that because there's not oil in the middle of the earth, so they've got no reason to drill there, I guess. But there you go, on the screen, the best of 9. You'll be able to see which civilizations are picked as we go through, and each game will be marked there as they go. Nicov will be on the top line, Vivi on the bottom. Tekken, you can message us via Twitch. You don't need to message us on Voobly, as Voobly messages will be compromised, perhaps. Let's see. But looks like we are going into the game now. and we will be starting momentarily. We have a 1 minute 30 spectator delay, and that means that as soon as that starts counting down, we'll have approximately 1 minute before the game starts. Looking forward to it, and I think this will be, well, I hope this will be a close series. Robo, I was actually kicked from the game right there because I'm a fool, and I was AFK apparently, and that's not allowed. You're not allowed to be AFK. But I think I know the password. No, I don't know the password. What's the game password, Robo? Can you get me back in, please? Thank you. But yeah, I'll get back into the game before it starts. So that's not to worry. I don't know what he set the game password to. Or I don't know if it was maybe changed by Nicov, but I'll get back in momentarily. And the game will start soon as well. So should be a nice series, like I say. Obviously, Arabia, it is just Arabia. This time we have walls enabled, which means that the series should be a little closer in theory. But let's see. See if I can get in here to the game room. Yep, I'm in. Perfect. And the 1 minute 30 spec delay has just begun. So in about 1 minute, we'll be able to start up this series and jump into the first game, see which civilizations have been picked for game one, and take it from there. It's a very warm day today, actually. It was very warm on the drive here to the studio, even though it was very cloudy. It's my kind of weather. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. And now, with 50 seconds on the countdown, we are ready to go. So, there will be betting, hopefully, maybe, soon. It's like it's Goldilocks confirmed. This weather is too cold. This weather is too warm. This weather's too lumpy. This weather is just right. That's right for me. Right then, guys. Welcome, everybody, to our first game in the Nicov versus Vivi Best of 9 show match here, sponsored by us, EscapeAoE. We're going into game number 1, and it will be Arabia throughout, but the civilizations will change throughout this series, as they will not be allowed to pick the same civilization twice. And for game number 1, spawning up to the north of the map in the blue, it is Nicov. He's playing as the Chinese here in game 1. Interesting choice. The reason I say that is because last week, when we had the it wasn't Degao, it was Miguel versus Fire show match, they both picked Chinese in the first game, which was really weird because it's unusual out of 31 civs, I guess, or I guess less than 31, because you would never pick the Vietnamese in game 1, right? But out of all the civs available, they both picked Chinese in game 1, and I think they both picked Slavs in game 2 as well. But Nicov going for Chinese straight away here, and it seems to be a very popular civ right now for this game 1. But Vivi starting strong with a tried, tested, and true civ, spawning in the red down to the south of the map. He'll be playing as the Aztecs. And if you want to bet on this game, you have been credited with 100 points to do so. You can type !bet, and then you can type Vivi or Nicov, followed by the number you would like to bet, or all, if you would like to bet all of your points. And then at the end of the series, we will be announcing the winners, and you'll be able to bet on each game individually as well. So obviously, there's not a lot of I don't know. I mean, you can bet once you know the civs and once you know the map. So I guess there's some prediction involved in terms of what civs and maps are looking like. Although I haven't really showed you too much of the maps just yet. But let's just say, for example, Vivi came in here and stole one of Nikov's board. Maybe you would decide to bet on Vivi, as the bets are open for just a couple of minutes after the game begins. So let's do that. Let's talk about the maps. Let's have a look at the maps, and then we'll talk a bit more about the matchup and see how this develops. First of all, though, Fat Dragon coming in here, and obviously being the Chinese, Nicov already has looms, so these villagers aren't really at too much risk, especially with the scout nearby. And Nicov here taking his time at the moment to push the deer, because he is Aware that he's against the Aztecs, he of course wants to get the extra food where possible so that he can deal with that Aztec drush or men-at-arms play, which he's probably expecting here. He's also bringing in his second boar, and that should be unlameable, as Vivi's going to miss the opportunity to sort of block that villager there as it brings the boar in. And so I think Nicov will be absolutely fine here at the start of the game. And taking the time to push the deer is totally reasonable. It's very likely that he's going to be on the defensive for a little while against the Aztecs. So getting out and scouting his enemy super early, not so important. Whereas you look at Vivi, he sends his Eagle Scout forward immediately, and he's getting a really good eyes on Nikov's map. And what's Vivi going to see? Well, Vivi's going to see this gold here on the front, and he's going to also be looking around the back. He's going to be looking for the second and third gold spots as well. He's already found one of them, and that's even further to the front of Nikov's base. So Vivi's going to be very well aware here, the gold situation. He's also going to find a villager out here, but see that no gold has been taken for any drush or anything like that. He's also going to find the main stone, and he's even going to stumble across this very far lumber line. This is really quite far from the town center, and this may be something that Vivi is very interested in to hit first. Either that or potentially the berries, which are off to the left side, which could also be a really good spot to trap a villager or two between the berries and the mill. So we're looking at Vivi's point of view right now. We'll switch over to Nicov, see what he sees. Obviously, his scouting of the map a little bit less developed than Vivi at the moment, but he will see those berries on the front. He'll see a gold off to the left side, but what he doesn't see is the main gold. He does, however, see both of the main and secondary stones for Vivi, which is out to the right-hand side, whereas the main gold, very safe for Vivi, tucked behind his town center. And we're going to be very interested to watch and see here if Vivi does anything out of the ordinary. He is well known to be a player that is very sort of out of the box, so to speak. Very sort of creative in his ways. And at least for the time being, it looks like he'll be playing very standard, but he will see that more villagers are coming out here to this lumber line. And he's going to see that that's pretty packed. And unfortunately for Nicov, that is really his only lumber line that is within a reasonable distance of the town center and isn't off to the front of his base. So Nikov's definitely going to want to consider walling here between this tree line and this tree line perhaps, just to make sure that Vivi can't come in the side and catch him unawares. And by creative, I don't just mean trush every game. I've seen Vivi do trushes in places you wouldn't imagine. I've seen him trush on Descent Ring, on someone else's starting island. I think it was him anyway. I don't know. But let's have a look here. Nicov will see the militia coming forward, I think, and there are indeed 5 militia. So this is totally standard opening for the Aztecs here. And it looks like he's actually sending them to the left, but doubles back to the right, which I think is the right thing to do. Going around the left side of this wood line, it just doesn't make sense for Vivi to do that. But it will be man-at-arms. It won't be... Oh, wait, hold on. It seems like he can't really quite decide where he's going, actually. And it's kind of unfortunate, because this militia is taking a little bit of damage from the wolf, totally unnecessarily. He's going to be down to nearly half... in fact, just over half health after that wolf attack. And if he'd have managed to keep those militia together, you know, he might have a little bit more health on the men-at-arms. And with his slow aggression here... I mean, this is really quite slow. It's not in Nikov's base by the time Men-at-Arms completes. It's giving Nicov a lot of time. And Nikov's got his own 3 Men-at-Arms, but he's also got 2 Rangers up, and he's going to have the first Archer out as well. So I think Nikov's going to be in just a fine position here. Obviously, he's walled in the left side of his berries, although some of these palisades are very low, so we'll have to repair those, otherwise they do risk going down. But so far, Vivi's Men-at-Arms play has really not achieved too much, and we'll have to see if he can find anything. I'm just very surprised he didn't go out to the wood line on the right-hand side, because he knew it was exposed, and he knew that it might be the easiest place to get some free damage. But he will turn now onto the scout, and the scout will get out with 3 HP after doing a little bit of chip damage to one of those men-at-arms, and drawing them away has been really good for Nicov. He may very well be able to clean this up without losing even all of his men-at-arms here, as it's 2v1 now and 2v1 again against the remaining men-at-arms. And all in all, quite poor micro in a way from Vivi there. He let his army get quite split. He missed his focus on to the man-at-arms, and now Nikov's going to get out of there. 5 kills and only a single death. You couldn't do much better than that, really, could you? That's the Nicov that I know and love. And he even gets out with a scout on 3 HP. And, a little bit of that would have been sort of contributed by the fact that the wolf there actually lowered the HP on one of those men-at-arms just a little bit. And, that probably had a little bit of an impact in that fight, as well as, of course, the fact it came in so late that Nicov already had 3 or 4 archers out on the field to deal with it. But he's going to come in now and meet Fat Dragon Vivi's skirmishers. And the skirmishers here will be able to repel him for the time being. And, it's very easy when you are the Aztecs to react very quickly to what your opponent's doing. Faster military production is a blessing. And, you see your opponent's going for 2 archery ranges. You know what he's doing? He's putting down a single archery range and making skirmishers. And he's able to immediately catch back up in military count. And because he's got a counter unit on the field, he is also able to repel Nicov for the time being. And we'll see what Nicov does next. It might just be a very simple case of transitioning up to the Castle H, but he may also decide to add some scouts in here for good measure. We'll see how committed he is to feudal age aggression and how sort of aggressive he wants to be at this stage of the game. But he also spots the Eagle Scouts, because Vivi is indeed adding some Eagle Scouts as well. It won't just be the single archery range working for him here. The Eagle Scouts are going to be added in too. And that makes quite a nice combo against a pure archer army. The Eagle Scouts can tank, the skirmishers can, take them out very effectively. And Nicov will indeed be adding a stable at home. So I love this from him. It looks like we're going to see quite a commitment to the feudal age, because he will be spending down that food to create those scouts. And I think he's almost feeling a little bit of the pressure here of the Aztecs, where, okay, he's got eagles and skirmishers. I've got to deal with that, because if he runs at me now, my woodline's exposed, my gold's exposed, and I don't really want to be dropping a tower at this point in time. So Nicov will be transitioning into the stable. That's pretty exciting. As Fat Dragon now moves out, Vivi is on the prowl looking for some damage. He knows he's probably caught up and overtaken Nicov in military count due to that faster production of military units, and he's going to be rolling in now. He will be met with the scouts, but there are only 2 scouts in here, so this is going to be a close fight. Nicov going to immediately get surrounded by the scouts. He also has a man-at-arms alive in there, which will be reasonable against these eagles, but giving them the runaround and making sure that the skirmishers can attack the archers at all times. And it looks like Nicov will just come out on top here, because he does have enough scouts to get on top of the skirms, and with enough archers to do considerable damage to the eagles as well. Nicov is very well and truly coming out ahead of that engagement. He just had enough scouts popping out there to be able to push that back. If those scouts weren't in that fight, there's no way that Nicov would have been able to take that. And it's been very back and forth so far. First it was Fat Dragon attacking, Nicov defending, Nicov pushes out, he sees the skirms, he retreats. But the big difference to me, it seems, is that Nicov is retreating when he senses that he can't take the fight. And Fat Dragon, he's thrown his army away twice now inside of Nikov's base. He hasn't retreated back. He's just committed to the engagement. And twice, it hasn't quite paid off. So that's 19 kills to Nicov, 10 deaths. And that's clearly coming out in Nikov's favor. Still, though, Fat Dragon Vivi, he is still only on a single range and the barracks. And he's still somehow keeping up in military count. And I say somehow, I've already told you how. We'll see if he can do this here. Nicov does have the little hill advantage with the archers, but Vivi's doing a great job of focusing down the archers with the skirms. And without the reinforcing scouts, Nicov there finding himself in a little bit deep. And would you look at that? 21 kills, 21 deaths. And I think Fat Dragon may just pull slightly ahead here as his Eagle Scout turns around and perhaps picks off that archer, or perhaps not. It will run back. But yeah, Vivi turning it around a little bit there, but at the same time, behind that push, Nicov did stop scout production. he did, of course, do Wheelbarrow, and he went up to the Castle Age. So he's halfway up to Castle right now. And with that coming in considerably faster than Vivi, he's going to be in quite a happy position. There is a hole in his wall, however, and he's doing a gate behind this, a stone gate. But I think he's missed the fact that there is actually a gaping hole next to the house and the wood line. So he wasn't quite happy about that, I think. Obviously now he's forced to build a tower on the gold, which is exactly what I said he didn't want to do 5 minutes ago. And now, of course, he has to do it. Mistakes were made. Even at the highest level of competition, mistakes are made. And that hole is going to cost him just a little bit, because it's going to be a little bit of an awkward transition onto TCs now. He can't just throw down a second TC and throw down his third TC because, well, he's got no stone left. He's built 2 gates, he's built a tower, and now he's going to either have to mine some stone, buy some stone, or forgo the stone altogether and go for a university or a siege workshop. But right now, Fat Dragon running over his farms on the left-hand side, going to find a villager kill, and Nicov needs to respond. It looks like he was going to respond with knights. He does have a couple of a knight in queue, but actually doesn't have much gold at the moment. His gold income lacking a little bit here, as the villagers seem to get pushed off gold when that aggression from Vivi came in for a few moments. And that was enough to delay production a little bit. He just doesn't quite have the gold at the moment. He's also got 3 idle villagers next to this house, so Nicov perhaps caught a little bit off guard by the hole, and man, he's going to block that off now, but that's really messed him up just a little bit. He can probably deal with this quite comfortably. It's trapped behind his walls, but we'll need at least 2 knights to clean that up, and, well, there's going to be more knights coming in, so should be okay here to deal with this. At the same time, though, Vivi's going up to the castle, or has gone up to the Castle Age, and I think he's quite fine to actually sacrifice this army. I don't think he minds too much if he loses this army, because right now it is keeping Nicov busy. It is keeping Nicov trapped but inside of his own walls, and sort of dealing with this very minimal threat. These skirmishes don't pose a big risk to Nikov's economy or his villagers, but they do need to be cleaned up, and so Nicov will do that. And I actually made a mistake earlier. He didn't actually have Wheelbarrow, and for heaven's sake, Nicov, please close this wall. Fortunately, his knights are there, but those Eagle Warriors nearly slipped in, and if they'd have got in, they would have done a lot of raiding damage, and in fact, they're probably still going to do good damage here, because Nicov seems to be on the retreat with these... Oh, wow. Yeah, that just happened. His unfinished gate behind his palisade gate blocked his knight from running through, and it fell down to the Eagle Warriors there. But Vivi's actually mixing in pikes as well into this mix. Fortunately, this tower is here, and that's now actually really paying off. But maybe it's time for Nicov to consider adding some extra unit production here, because he just doesn't seem to have enough to deal with the pikes and Eagle spam all at once, because Vivi at this point is spamming from 3 barracks, 4 barracks in fact, and has a good mix of units coming out. He's even got a monastery. He's sending monks over, and it looks like it's going to be a really big push. I don't know if he's actually got arson at this point for the bonus damage on the buildings. It doesn't look like it, but he may consider getting that at some point. But now, though, Nicov just putting up a TC in front of his gold here as he sits back with his knights and tries to build up a critical mass. I was going to say, it might make sense for him to start adding in crossbow as well, just to try and micro down the pikes, because he doesn't want to get into a situation where Vivi's managed to mass a good number of pikes, and he just can't take the fights with his knights, especially if there's monks coming out as well, which he doesn't know just yet, because Nicov hasn't seen the monks at this stage. He's massively outnumbered. Vivi on 31 military against the 17 of Nicov, and economically Nikov's ahead by 7 vills or so, but Vivi is not slacking on his eco either. He does have 2 TCs up, and the 3rd TC has just got popped up on that right hand side, as well as a villager which is coming forward to perhaps build a forward siege workshop. We may see something like that coming in, although against a solid number of knights that could be risky. Speaking of the knights, though, they're actually going on a bit of a counter-attack right now, and, you know, it takes balls to do something like that. You've got Eagle Warriors pushing into your base, And you go, right, I'm going to send all my knights across the map, even though I know he's coming. But you know who else knows they're coming? Fat Dragon. Those pikemen, they're coming back, and either his spidey senses are tingling or he saw something. But those knights do arrive at his gold, and they will pick up a couple of villagers. So this is quite good for Nicov. He's under a lot of pressure at home, but he's not losing too many villagers right here. These Eagle Warriors trapped under the TC for a while, taking damage from the town center and the watchtower. And we'll finally find a couple of villagers here toward that stone mine. But at the same time, Vivi losing 6, 7, maybe even 8 villagers at his own base here. On the wood line here, on the gold as well. He's behind by 12 villagers now. And that's a worthwhile sacrifice, I feel, for Nicov, hurting that Aztec economy here quite nicely. And it seems as well like he's going to keep picking up more villagers because the pikes can't quite catch him. And when they finally do, the damage has already been done. 70 vills versus 55. And now it's, well, Vivi's turn to retaliate. He's finding villagers out here on the farms. And we were just doing no war mod. But I feel like we're almost playing with no wars here as well, the way the raiding is going. But it looks like Vivi might maybe cleaned up. There's that forward siege workshop I was speculating about. And he should, to be honest, I think he should do a Mangonel to go for the TC here. But still, finding a couple of villagers, and it's back down to a 12 villager lead for Nicov. Or more like 14, in fact. So all in all, I'd say Nicov really coming out ahead so far. He's 20 kills ahead. He's economically in the lead as well. But he's still under quite a lot of pressure. And the Aztecs are going to be absolutely unfazed by this. I've got to say, though, I do really like this watchtower from Nicov. I think this is really smart. Like, he's anticipating the Mangonel, and he's anticipating that this TC is going to come under Mangonel fire. So, you know, building that tower there is going to prevent that. However, there is another ram coming for Vivi, and I really am a big fan of this sort of all-out aggression here. There's just endless units coming across the map, and it's not going to let up. Like, Nikov's not going to get a breather this game until he completely puts Vivi in his place and gets a GG out of him, pretty much. And we'll see if he can do that. Like, let's take a quick look. I mean, obviously, economically, he's ahead by a little bit. But he can't really go up to the Imperial Age here because he's just got to be. He's going to be stuck making military in this position. He's not got a castle up or anything like that, so he can't just sort of defend with a castle. And he's under a lot of pressure on the front of his base. If he stops making military here, he may end up losing this TC and getting pushed right back, and then he'll be throwing away that economical advantage as well, or economic advantage, I should say. But, with the villagers to batter down the rams, you will be able to hold on a little bit longer, and using that tower there at the back as a little bit of extra firepower. Still, though, Vivi is not stopping. He is not letting up. It's still 1, 2, 3, 4 barracks spamming Eagle Warriors across the map. And finally, it looks like he may be pushed back a little bit, as Nicov will now build a second TC on the front of his base, while the other one is going up on in flames, basically. I'm really thinking a castle would have been better, but he will be able to at least hop back into his TC and hold on just a little bit. I don't think Vivi, as crazy as Vivi may be, wants to sit under that TC and tower for eternity. And Nicov, there we go, should quick wall this left side, but still, Vivi's going to make it hard for him. He's not going to let him get that TC up easily. And at the same time, I wonder if he's doing anything in the Siege Workshop. Okay, he's not. I thought maybe he'd be building up a group of rams or something, or mangonels to just drop out. But still, it's like it's close, right? Like, it's an 8 villager advantage now. And Nikov's had a lot of idle time as well. I mean, we were talking about the villager advantage, but there's at least 10 villagers here which are pretty much not gathering any resources. And Nicov really needs the front of his base to get that gold long term. And it looks like he may be going up to the Imperial Age very soon. He's defended this, just about, but there's the castle from Vivi. There it is. This is a trademark Vivi play right here. If in doubt, drop a castle in your enemy's face and just lock down that map control. He knows if you can deny this gold and get onto this gold here, he's going to be in a great position. This castle, though, apprehended a little bit by the tower and may may have a hard time going up. I think he'll get it up, to be honest. There are a couple of monks here, but I think they're out of faith. But Nicov doesn't seem to be focusing down the villagers with his knights, and the castle, which is on 90%, will probably go up. I don't see that tower denying it from here, so that castle, a good response from Vivi to the sort of TC and tower creep from Nicov from his own base, and that means that he's going to end up taking this down quite comfortably, as it turns out. But Imperial Age for Nicov, it's about to come in, and he's got his own castle now coming up in defense here. So if he's up first, he will be able to build some trebs and start winning that treb war and get the front of his base back. But Vivi's probably going up to Imp as well any second now. In fact, he's already up. He's faster than Nicov here. I think Nicov... Okay, no, there we go. I think he didn't have a monastery. I think he had to rush the monastery up because he didn't have a second Castle Age building because the castle wasn't built. So they're going to be up at similar times. Turns out Vivi will actually be slightly faster there, using his market, I think, to buy food. Yeah. And we're going to take a look at Nikov's point of view because he can see the gold to the left. That's really fortunate. It's a good job he can see that because he's got the gold here, his third gold, and he's got the bonus gold within his walls. The gold to the right has not been scouted, though. This one down here, not been scouted. But it makes a lot of sense for Vivi to want to get the map control here. He doesn't see any of the extra golds. And he's only really got his main gold in his base right now. I don't actually see where his extra golds are. Because his stones are here, right? Where are the extra golds at? Let's take a look. Ah, okay. He's got the one in the back. Yeah, I didn't see that. And that's about it. So he really needs to make sure that Nicov is gold starved. But with both players going up to the Imperial Age at about the same time, this could be quite bad for Nicov here, as the Elite Eagle Warrior upgrade is going to cause him quite a bit of trouble if he gets breached. And he has already been breached. Now, obviously, with Knights and with Cavalier, he can fight them. That's no problem, but he might end up spending the majority of the game chasing them down. And he doesn't want to be in that position where he's being raided and having to constantly spend the whole game in his own base. So this is looking very good for Vivi at the moment with his map control. There's the treb coming out immediately. Did you see his bank as well? He had about 1.5k food and 1,000 gold when he hit Imp. So you bet. Elite Eagle Warriors coming straight in. Plate Mail Armor's coming straight in. Bowsaw is coming in, boys. That's right. He didn't forget Bowsaw until the Imperial Age. But more importantly, the Trebs are coming out as well. And the Eagle Warriors are on the way. And he also scouted the Night Raid on the left side, although he's not really doing anything about it at the moment. We'll have to bring those villagers back. There we go. But yeah, he does risk, of course... Well, Nicov risks being breached. And if he has a hole in his wall, he's got a problem. And it's very likely that Fat Dragon is going to find holes in the wall of Nicov, because Nicov has a pretty big wall, and the bigger the wall, the more holes you've got. There's one. He's chopped away that wall. There's another one. And in come the Elite Eagle Warriors. +4 defense now done. Garland Wars is on the way. Nicov, however, finishing Cavalier. The problem is it's 16 military for Nicov against the 49 of Fat Dragon. Nicov cannot produce units fast enough. He needs more stables. He needs more unit production. His units are a little bit more expensive on the gold cost as well. And although those Cavalier can deal with Eagle Warriors quite nicely, Vivi may find himself an opportunity to get lots of raiding damage done throughout the game. He's also killed off Nikov's castle at the front of his base. The trebuchets there from Nicov now coming under fire, or coming under raiding from the Elite Eagle Warriors. And there is the GG from Nicov, as at the same time as we were watching that, the Cavalier did go down to the superior number of Eagle Warriors from Fat Dragon there. So well played by Vivi in game number 1. I can't say I'm overly surprised. The Aztecs, of course, are incredibly strong. And I don't want to say it, Skinny, but Civwin is probably on the minds of a few people. I think it is a tough matchup. I don't think it's going to be easy by any means. And Fat Dragon just piled on the pressure and never let go. And obviously, if you've got full map control as the Aztecs, he's also got 4 relics as well once he grabs this one. You're in a really, really good spot. At some point, you might run out of steam and come into some trouble, but that point is a long way from the now. And Vivi was in a fantastic position there to continue to press hard once he reached the Imperial Age after locking down the front of Nikov's base for the entirety of Castle. So well played to Vivi. He does get the first game. Perhaps we can move the scoreboard to the top middle, though. That would be cool. We can not block the text being researched then. And thanks, Robo, for the gift sub to Nightbot. Welcome, Nightbot, to the Escape crew. And welcome everyone in the chat who's just tuned in during that game. I see you there, Albo. Shout out to you. Albertus Ursus, welcome to you as well. And Anarion, Mr. Chow, and everyone else who I may have missed. Apparently the scoreboard's already fixed. It doesn't look fixed on my monitor. So, I don't know. Is it fixed? Is it not fixed? Like, the preview monitor definitely has the scoreboard in the top right, but I'm guessing it is fixed. I guess maybe they made it a bit smaller. That's probably what happened. All right, let's back out the game, and we'll get our second game going very shortly. We'll take a look at the Civ screen now, and we can see, or we will be tracking, rather, which civilizations will be picked throughout the series. So Nicov can no longer pick Chinese, obviously. Vivi can no longer pick Aztecs. And the winner of the matchup is marked in green as well. So you can see there that Vivi on the bottom row was the winner of game 1 with the Aztecs. Yeah, I get it. Where is Capture Age? Yeah, people asking about Capture Age. I'll tell you about Capture Age. I am in contact with the Capture Age team. In fact, I was one of the first people to find out about Capture Age. But the way that Capture Age is being handled right now is because it's still in beta, it's still in development. They are only using it for tournaments, events. This is a show match. It's not a big tournament, so we're not using Capture Age for this. It is being limited to tournament use only for now, and only one streamer at a time for now as well. Once it comes out of beta, once it's a bit further along in development, it will be made available to the big streamers and will be made available more common, more often. So we will be having Capture Age. We will be using Capture Age at some point, but it won't be just yet. I'll try and do this screw. I've got a screw on my microphone, and it annoys me that it's loose. Every time I sit here, I try and tighten it. Like, God damn, come on, tighten. Because if it's not tightened properly, I don't know, it just wobbles around and it annoys me. Good old microphone stand. Thanks, Rode. But yes, we will have our next game going fairly soon. It looks like Fat Dragon needs a sec, and we will give him precisely 1 sec. 1. Right, off we go. Nicov, start the game. Dragon WC. Perhaps. I like it when Vivi speaks English. When he types in English, he always says funny things. I feel like a lot gets lost in translation, but it's always amusing. Chinese is an interesting language. I've been told that it's quite easy to learn Chinese grammar, actually, but the difficulty is learning the huge number of characters that they have. Vivi goes to the toilet after each game. Well, he's back now, so I don't really care what he does between each game. As long as he's ready to play within a reasonable time, it's all good with me. It gives us a little bit of a breather. It gives us time to chat with the chat as well, which is nice. And we'll have our second game going momentarily here, as they have launched the game now. And yeah, I mean, there's not really much to speculate about civs, really. There's no civ draft, so it's not really a case of saying, well, he can't play with this, so maybe he'll take this. It's really an open book for both players. They have the choice of everything but one right now, so Nicov can choose 30 civs, which is, it seems like a really big choice, doesn't it? But when you narrow it down to the top civs on Arabia, there's not so many. Starts to get interesting around game 8 and 9. There's a lot of sort of tier 2/3 civs that could sort of make an appearance there. As Skinny is saying in the chat, obviously, Mayans, Aztecs, Slavs, Berbers, Huns, Malians, Incas, yes, all very strong. But then you get your Britons and your Japanese and those kind of civs, which are really quite reasonable civs, but just don't see so much competitive play. But by the time you get to game 9, that's perhaps when you start to see them coming out a little bit as the options start to dwindle just a little bit. Obviously, there's no water here because, water maps are kind of meh. Hybrid maps are pretty fun, actually, but pure water maps are a snooze fest, as we have figured out. I used to be a big fan of water, actually. I used to really like water maps, but I think we realized quite quickly, once we started doing the escape tournaments, that water maps are not popular. We did some polls and we did some questionnaires with the viewers at the time, and a lot of people seemed to not like water maps very much. Although the hybrid maps can be really interesting. I guess it depends on the balance between the land and water. And, I was watching Age of Empires 3 yesterday, the Age of Empires 3 qualification match between Kinesi and Tabon. And it's really interesting how land and water worked in Age of Empires 3, actually. Because one player had, 40 ships or something, boats, gathering food and coin from the water. And the other player, and he had, very little on the land in terms of economy. And the other player had mostly all land economy, didn't have a single unit on the water. And yet it was still a perfectly, somewhat balanced game economically, which is interesting because I feel like in Age 2, if there's a good number of fish, then you're pretty stupid not to go for them. Very rarely does it pay off not to take the fish. It's really a no-brainer, which is why games like Baltic end up becoming so predictable. Every player will do the same thing, and there is only one water build order, so you do that every time. That's pretty much the Baltic meta game. You do the water build. That's what you do every game. And then at some point during the game, the water is won or lost, and you have to try and make a last-ditch effort to try and land your enemy or do something on the land before the game is over. So, what would be good if there was a Viking War water map? Oh, Mizzy Hood, that's a really good point. See some galley micro in action. How about that? Yeah, that's true. I mean, the water maps, they were supposed to get more interesting with the addition of the fire galley and the demo raft from the Forgotten Empires team. But I don't know. I mean, obviously there is a bit more variety on the water now with those units, with those new ships. But water maps are still the same in essence. It's still like fight for the water, otherwise the game is lost. So, it's much more interesting when you get the hybrid style maps where a presence on land is really important. We saw a really good game in the ECL, actually, on Caribbean. It was the 4v4 round of 8, and I think it was SY or it was Frantic. But one of the teams sent 2 of their players to go and land. And it was really, really cool. So anyway, game 2 has now begun. And here we go. Nicov spawning down to the south. This time going with the Malians. Yes! One of my favorite civs, actually. As well as the Chinese, in fact. I really, really like playing as the Chinese. But the Malians are great. And I sing the Malians' praises a lot. So it's great to see them being picked quite early here. Because in the previous series, Malians sort of picked around game 6, 7-ish, I think, or 5. Game 2 for Nicov. And then up to the north of the map in the red, it's the Fat Dragon. It is Vivi. He's playing as the Franks. So bringing out the big guns. Vivi not slacking when it comes to Civ picks. He's going very strong Civ picks right out the gate. Starting with the Aztecs, moving on to the Franks, and of course, you know, against the Chinese, that first game, fairly straightforward for Vivi. Against the Malians, probably not so straightforward. Not really. Malians can quite easily deal with the Franks, I feel. And we'll see if the map is a little better for Nicov this time as well. Obviously, last time, Vivi was really focusing on pushing the front of Nikov's base. This time around, it may be Nicov who is pushing Vivi in the early parts of the game. Obviously, he'll be thinking about doing a men-at-arms or militia rush because he's already pushing Deer, and as we know, the Malians get the Pierce armor on their men-at-arms, although the Pierce armor is not so important here because how often do you see the Franks opening with archers? You just don't. So the Pierce armor is kind of negligible, but it doesn't change the fact that they save 15% on all their wood costs, so the barracks is cheaper, and so is all of their other buildings, except farms, of course. But Nicov here does have a gold right at the back next to the edge of the map. That's okay, to be honest. It's not terrible. It's nicer if it's not at the edge of the map, maybe a couple of tiles away, but it's okay. He's also got his barriers quite easily defendable. His wood line is fairly easy to defend. In fact, the way he's built his houses at the start of the game, purely coincidence, by the way. He had no idea that the wood line was here when he built the houses, but they already form a natural wall. So he's sort of killed two birds with one stone there without even realizing. So Nikov's map looking pretty solid. Vivi then, on his map, people in the chat already noting that everything's sort of in the back. And that is sort of true. His main gold, his berries, his second stone, they're all sort of in the back here. Although it is kind of open on the right side. You may want to sort of wall out there a little bit or in towards the TC and then close the back off. But that's really quite close to his TC, behind his TC, which is nice. And then his wood line is a little bit further forward to the front. Not the best wood line, really. It's a little bit awkward, the positioning of it, the shape of it. It's not that nice. And I guess Vivi will really need to come over here to get wood later on because this is kind of forward at the moment. And if this gets raided, he gets pushed off here. Where does he go after that? Well, the only option is this wood line here. So he will have to secure that a little bit later on. Let's see what they see, though. Nicov just moving out across the map now. He did push, I think, all but one of his deer. And he's actually not taken his second boar yet, which is unusual. Okay, Vivi, you gonna come steal the boar? The second boar for Vivi is already done. And Nikov's like, nah, I don't need a boar. What would I need a boar for? Vivi, I don't know if he saw the boar there. He does see it. And he's probably thinking about laming a little bit. Maybe he's thinking to block the villager that's about to come and take it, but they're not because, surprise, I'm not taking my boar this game. What's going on, Nicov? Has he somehow missed it? Surely he can't have missed it. It's impossible to miss. Now he's going out to hunt it, perhaps, with this villager here. But no, she's going to go build the barracks. Maybe he's just saving it for later, you know? He's going to keep his villagers working extra hard with the promise of boar meat in the near future. Like, if you're good, if you gather lots of resources quickly, you can have boar for supper. And that all the villagers quickly fall into line with that prospect. But no, in fact, he actually just sent 5 villagers to the berries. We know that the Franks have a berry gather bonus, but the Malians don't. So now he's going out to take his second boar. And, you know, it's kind of fine. It doesn't matter that much if it's late. Because he did push the deer. He got the food he needed. He's like he's short on food at this point, but it's just weird to see it coming in this late. It's a strange thing. It's a strange sight. And I wonder if he might end up losing a vill. Nah, he won't lose a vill. He's fine. He knows what he's doing. He's actually opening with a stable as well, which is, you know, I wouldn't say unusual, but oftentimes with the Malians, you do expect to see or sort of anticipate to see that men-at-arms play. It was clear he wasn't going for that when he clicked up to feudal and, you know, he hadn't gathered any gold at all and wasn't queuing any units. So this is absolutely fine, although it would be preferable to have more villagers gathering the boar so that less boar actually rots away. Like if you only gather it with 4, you're going to lose a considerable amount of boar meat to rot. Whereas gathering it with 8 is a much more optimal number. But, you know, all in all, he'll have scouts coming out. And he's actually struggling a little bit for food. He's got an extra villager in queue. He could have cancelled that vill and maybe queued the scout and then not had to idle the stable. But really minor things. I'm just wondering what his game plan is here. Because scouts opening against the Franks is... really, I mean, in this situation, it's not ideal, right? Like, this is why I expected more the men-at-arms or militia drush kind of play, because you put the pressure onto your enemy, you buy yourself a little bit of time. At the moment, he's just trying to wall himself up, but those scouts are in. And as we know, those scouts have 54 HP compared to the 45 of the Malians. However, it's not too bad. He's not lost a vill, and he's actually done quite a bit of damage to these scouts as well. 2 of them are on about half HP. So with this spearman, and with them being now trapped inside, he may be able to pick them off pretty much for free here. He's got 2 spearmen in. Nicov will be able to, in theory, focus down Fat Dragon's spearman here. And once that spearman's out of the way, he might be okay. But the problem is he's surrounded by scouts, so picking off that spearman is suddenly a really difficult proposition. And his own scouts now trying to pick away at the scouts of Vivi, but Vivi's keeping them all alive so far, even if they are getting quite low on health. He is, however, still trapped, and he also has not really found a way to come in here and do some damage. There's just too many spearmen coming out for Nicov, and this is actually... I think this is quite good for Nicov, all things considered. He's really, like, preventing these scouts from doing any serious damage, and he's not really fighting them with his own scouts and getting them caught out of position. He's also managed to find the spearman here, and now Vivi going for an attack on the villagers, but realizing it's futile, and he's trapped. So Nicov now needs to try and react quickly, try and chase these scouts down, and Vivi might try and do what he can with these scouts, like a Hail Mary, but he's going to run into more spearmen here, and Nicov is just fine with this. I think he'll transition up to the castle age off the back of this. Now just adding in a mining camp, and yeah, I think Vivi's thinking the same thing though. Like, Vivi's one step ahead of the game here, already 4 villagers on gold. Wheelbarrow now coming in, and both players with quite a good number of farms, but yeah, they're basically just running round and round and round at the moment. Let's go round again. And Fat Dragon may just find a villager for all of his efforts. 1 villager will go down, and then the scouts will probably get cleaned up before any more damage can be done. So 5 kills for Nicov, probably 6 by the time he cleans up the scout. I highly doubt the scout's going to find anything else. But really an interesting way of dealing with those Frank scouts. Opening with a stable. I'm thinking now at this point, he's going to look for the castle age and go into camels and maybe monks as well. But his own scouts won't find anything in return because Fat Dragon is fully walled. And although there is always a hole, it may not be possible to find it in this case. He's very well defended. Look at his castle time. It's really quite good. He didn't overcommit to feudal aggression. He didn't make too many military units once he was sort of trapped in. He didn't chase it down by adding a bunch of spearmen. He sat back. He walled up. He added farms. He added his mining camp. He got wheelbarrow. And now he's nearly 30% of the way up to the castle age, with a second stable coming down, which is very typical for the Franks. There's nothing out of the ordinary here. And meanwhile, Nicov is about to click up as well. About a minute behind. So it's not too bad for Nicov, a minute behind, but it certainly does favor Vivi at this point. And I'm starting to think that Nicov doesn't actually have wheelbarrow either, which is kind of awkward. No, he doesn't have wheelbarrow. He skipped out on wheelbarrow day. You've got to make sure you're working all parts of your economy. Wheelbarrow day is very important, and a lot of people do skip wheelbarrow day. But wheelbarrow day, it's good for your lower back. It's good for your legs, squatting down to pick up the wheelbarrow. It's good for your forearms as well. But yeah, Nicov just skipping out. It's not a popular one for some reason. And in this case, it's just typical AM things, as Martians are saying in the chat. It is typical AM things. He did it last game as well. It's fine. It's under control. But Vivi, I want to look at the food gathered. I mean, I would love to see it. And I wonder if it would be much different for Vivi at this point. In fact, we could have a look. We could have a quick look. Yeah, Vivi's gathered an extra 200 food on the transition up to the Castle Age. And that may widen even further over the next couple of minutes as... Yeah, overall, Vivi's just gathered more resources in total. You can see that right there. So it's gone pretty well for Vivi. And now I'm going to have a nightmare getting... Oh, no, it did. It went straight back. Nice. Sometimes I have a real hard time getting it back to the overview. But Knights are out as expected. And Vivi has map control now. Forward Monastery, about as forward as you can get without being spotted. I think if Nicov had Town Watch, you might see it. But that is an insanely forward monastery right there. But as predicted, Nicov will be adding the monastery and the 2 stables of his own. It's almost like I know what I'm talking about here. And yeah, he's going to be countering the knights in theory with the camels quite quickly here. Of course, he is lacking bloodlines because he hasn't researched it yet. But he is finally now getting wheelbarrows, so good job, Nicov. He didn't forget about it. He just decided not to get it before going up to castle. He skip wheelbarrow a day. Not recommended. But Fat Dragon here will be doing pikemen. And we'll be pressuring with monks, pikes, siege. It looks like it's going to be 3 TCs as well. So this is really impressive from Vivi. If he can pull this off and do everything. Double stable, monks, siege. He's already in. Oh, Nicov. Oh, Nicov. A villager got converted on the inside. She's an insider. She's dead now. But there is a hole in the wall. And ouch, that's awkward. Those knights are going to get in. Force a lot of idle time. And I don't know if he's going to lose a villager aside from the converted one. But that's going to be annoying. That's going to be very annoying. The Mangonel now here. Another barracks on the front as well. Vivi's going to continue to make pikes, it seems. Reinforcing them from the front lines now. And this is very, very good from Vivi. It's very, very good. That Mangonel, though, it went down. I was going to say that Mangonel might just survive. Vivi is absolutely at the limit right now. He's spending his resources down so quickly. But losing the Mangonel there is kind of costly because you can't really afford another one just yet. And doing so is quite expensive. It's quite an investment. Still... Vivi, equal number of villagers at the moment, but good pressure once again. Similar story to last game. Forward pressure right on the gold spots of Nicov. Nikov's back gold, that's safe and fine, but these 2 golds here, not so safe and not so fine. The monks are going to try and convert what they can. The camels, of course. Oh, wow. Okay. Feels bad, man. Kills your own monk with your own Mangonel. But at least it converted a camel beforehand. But like I said, camel not as valuable as a knight. So it's still a good trade. But you'd rather be converting higher value targets, I suppose. All in all, though, Fat Dragon here. Double the military of Nicov right now. Pressuring with a Mangonel. Even converting some of his own pikemen back, I think. After Nicov converted some pikes. And he's got this really nice mix of units now. The pikes, the siege, the monks, the camels, the knights. A little bit of everything in Fat Dragon's playbook. And almost too many targets. He's a bit unsure where he should attack here. His Mangonels have got too many things to focus on. Nicov now needs a response to this. And this hill is making things very, very difficult. Because... it's in Fat Dragon's favor. The response from Nicov is going to be a second monastery. Now, maybe, if he gets redemption, he could convert some of the Mangonels and relieve some of that pressure. That could be a worthwhile option. But for now, it will just be a case of adding to the monk count. He's got 5 monks out at the moment, which is an okay number, actually. If he can convert 5 knights, He may be able to snipe the mangonels as well as perhaps some monks, but it's a question of whether or not they get immediately converted back, because Vivi has 4 monks of his own, and he has got 2 monasteries, although neither is producing a monk right now. He is just doing sanctity for the time being. And yeah, I'm waiting for redemption to come in. I don't think he has it already. There's 1 knight conversion. That's immediately going to get converted back or killed. And it's going to be very difficult for Nicov to get out of this position right now. We'll see what he can do. He's going to go for more knight conversions. There's 1. That should be enough to take down the mangonel. It will be. Does lose a monk, though, as it gets hit by the mangonel there. And I'm surprised Nicov is keeping his cool so well. He really is keeping his cool here. He's actually ahead in villager count. He's not slacking on villager production at any point during this engagement. And he's got really solid number of resources in the bank. If he can spend them down, he may be in a very solid position. But his gold is very awkward at the moment. This gold here is being pressured now by the 2 mangonels, hammering away on that TC. And the gold here at the front is all being denied by this forward of Vivi. So he's going out to the left-hand side. There's a monastery coming up here, but I wonder if he's going for the really far gold on the left side. He doesn't know there's a gold down here to the south. He hasn't scouted for that. But he will have to go far and wide. Meanwhile, Vivi is coming over with a bunch of vills to build a house. Oh yeah, that's right. No, I don't know what he's going to do with these guys. It looks like he wants to drop a forward castle like last game. And forward castles are a little bit easier for you, the Franks, because you know what? They're a little cheaper. We all know that. There's going to be a lot of villagers throwing up a castle very, very quickly in just a few moments here. As the micro war begins, there it is, the castle on the front. Nicov 1-for-1 trade on the mangonels so far, but this is going to get much more difficult. Fighting uphill, of course. Still, he does get the 2-for-1 trade at the moment and repairs his mangonel back up so he can go for more. Vivi actually currently housed, although that's not going to be a problem when the castle goes up. But yeah, 3-for-2 mangonel trade, and now the knights are running deep inside. Nicov hops his monks back into the TC though and does a good job of getting the conversions there, so it looks like he'll actually hold this off for now. That monk getting too close to the TC will die as well at 100% faith, so absolutely wasted there. And it looks like Nicov may very well sort of regain control of the situation very soon. The problem is he needs a castle, and the reason I say this, although this looks awful, the fact that there's a castle right here and it's blocking the gold, the reason I say this is because he's up to the Imperial Age, and that's really important here. And he is getting his castle up on the left side as well. So if he gets his castle, if he goes imp, gets his castle, he can take that castle down. That's his way back into the game, but it's going to be really difficult. Because without enough gold income, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. His farms aren't working either. So he's having to refarm out here on the left-hand side. But he does have gold income. He has 9 or 8 villages on gold on the left-hand side. And he'll grab what he can here. But a second castle from Vivi. Oh my goodness. Vivi is not going to make this easy for Nicov. He's going to give him a second castle to deal with. Yeah, the farms now are going to become a real issue. I mean, so much investment here into wood investment into farms, TCs, buildings. They're all going down to those castles. And Vivi here will have scouted this on the left side as well. The monks, so gold heavy. And of course, that's the one thing that Nicov really doesn't have at this point. I don't know about Farimba, to be honest. Farimba's a little bit of a stretch. I don't think he's going to have the eco for Farimba. But he is about to hit Imp. And with Imp, if he does some pikes, he might be in a good position. This could be GG, though. If Vivi, and he is scouting out on the left side, if he finds that gold. Oh, there's a TC there. Okay. Nicov does have a TC there. That's really, really fortunate. Well, not fortunate. It's smart. But, yeah, Nikov's up. No trap, though. There it is. There it is. And we'll see what he can do now. Maybe Pike, Treb. He's got some Jabetos coming out. He's actually got 2 relics as well, so they'll be even on relics. And, yep. That's fine. The monk can die. He did his duty. He brought that relic home. And it looks like Fat Dragon's backing up with a lot of his military units right now. actually backing away. As the first trap comes out, chemistry's being researched as well. So, yeah, chemistry, boys. We'll see if he's got the eco for that. Second castle for Nicov as well. Second castle, meet the second castle, same as the first castle. Only this one's on a hill, so it's slightly better. And a solid number of monks. Block printing now coming in. This is good. I don't know if he has atonement or redemption, though. It doesn't matter too much. He's really just concerned about converting the knights, I think, more than anything. But yeah, block printing's happening, and that castle, there's no way that's staying up, right? In fact, there might be a very slim chance that the second castle stays up as well. But still, Nicov is very, very spread thin right now, and here come the knights. They're going to try and hit his eco, but there are enough monks here to convert enough knights to turn that around, and Fat Dragon immediately has to run away, so he is really playing very well. Nicov is well, I mean, I say he's playing very well. His situation is absolutely awful, but he is coming back from it. We've got bombard cannons out as well. You can snipe the enemy monks with those, which is fun, or his own knight. I mean, you could also do that. I mean, I don't know if that was the plan, but that's what happened. Okay, Nicov, that's fine. You can do that. It's fine. Another TC coming up at the front, and I was like, certain he was going to aim for the monks there, but no. Knights are just too juicy, apparently. There you go. Treb's moving forward to go to the second castle now as the knights come into the back. Oh, God. The monks are a little out of position to deal with that. Ooh, ouch. You know, amazingly, almost miraculously, they were on the same villager count right before that raid came in. That's going to cost him 10 vills or so, though. That is... Ouch. Oh, ouch. That physically pains me to watch that. That's awful. That's like 15 dead vills right there. A good number of Gabetos coming up now as well. As it turns out, they'll be pretty good at this point in time. Throwing Axemen are fairly decent against them, actually, but Gabetos are so fast. You could actually turn this around and do some counter-raiding. That castle's going down before Vivi reaches him, so the comeback for Nicov, it's on. And the monks now are in the right place. So those knights are going to come in and wall low. One singular knight will be converted. Oh my goodness. What a player. Nicov, what a player. What a beast. He's going to take down that monastery as well, both, in fact, and deny both of those relics from Vivi. If he can grab the 2 relics as well, that's going to be good for him. The problem for now is that the Fat Dragon is starting to add Cavalier as well, and Light Cav, so his army just going to get considerably better over the next couple of minutes. But yeah, Nikov's not too far behind economically, and if he can kill these vills out here, then he may even actually be even in villager count overall. And well, unless that monk converts that knight, he's going to go to town on killing vills. Or maybe not, I don't know. The monk's kind of healing the vills up here. And oh, the left side, looks like all of Nikov's monks just went down. Oh geez, that really hurts. I'm sorry I missed that, but I think he lost maybe 8 or 9 monks right there. He does eventually clean up the light cab, but that is a small price to pay if you are Vivi in this situation. And amazingly though, Nicov just taking back the score lead for a second before it went back in Vivi's favor. Nicov sort of getting back the map control just a little bit. He did lose a treb there though to the Cavalier raiding, and his other treb is sort of split. The focus is split between the 2 positions right now, but am I seeing this correctly? I mean, my eyes may be deceiving me, but that is Paladin from Vivi. Man, I don't know how you can afford and justify Paladin at this point in time. Like, just it's so expensive. You only have like 10 Cavalier. You may not even have that many. But okay, Elite Gabeto, meanwhile, coming in for Nicov. He's going full Gabeto. I love it. Chivalry coming in as well after Paladins started being researched. So I feel like that's the wrong way around, but whatever floats your Fat Dragon boat, gonna get it in before his castle goes down, probably. Nikov's eco, though, look at this. He's farming in the middle of the bloody map. You don't see that very often. But Paladin is going to be a big power spike for Vivi. Problem is, he's not going to have many Cavalier to upgrade. There it is. And he's got, what, 6 Paladins and a Knight? Because it was converted? It's actually falling apart for Vivi at the moment. And we'll see what Nicov, or how Nicov reacts to this. The Gabetos should be decent, but they do need to be in a good mass. And they ideally want to have their backs against the wall as well. What a messy game. This is a fantastic game too so far. Really loving this. Very, very messy. As Nicov now will come in and all the Paladins. He can one-shot Paladins. He can actually one-shot them. That's pretty insane. That is pretty insane. Oh boy. Gabeto very, very strong. I mean, he will lose a bunch of Gabeto here. But I think he'll take down the relatively small number of Paladins. And, well, Vivi can rebuild them again. But it might give him an opportunity to take back this area to the right of his base as well. Not before taking down a Treb, of course, with the melee damage. 15 melee damage. Problem is, Paladins just are, pound for pound, a stronger, more population-efficient unit than the Gabeto. And right now, Vivi has 20-ish Paladins. And there's just not enough Gabeto. You need a lot more Gabeto. However, with 2 castles and 2 TCs in here, they may only have fletching, but they're doing considerable damage to these Paladins as they run in. It's still pretty good raiding for Vivi, but he just... How long is he going to be able to keep this up for? He's got small numbers of Paladins. He's throwing them in one by one. And that TC right there is going to get denied. Nicov going to find those villagers and actually be able to regain control of this right side. If he can get back that gold, if he can lock that down, he'll be pretty pleased. His attention, however, seems to be mostly focused on the front here. Does like to be locking down that castle. Those Gabeto seem to be doing well. And wow, okay, I didn't notice this, but there was actually 4, I think he's just built them, 4 stables to the right of Nikov's base. So we might see Paladin coming in this direction soon. It could be pretty unfortunate or pretty annoying for Nicov to deal with. He also lost his monastery to the 3 Paladins attacking on the left-hand side. So looks like Vivi may be able to take that back. Now, all those dead villager sounds may not just be villagers. They may be Gabeto as well, and we heard a lot of them there, and that was the sound of Nikov's army dying to Paladins, as well as some female villagers dying to Paladins as well. And at that point, the GG is called. Too early, maybe? I don't know. It's very difficult. Obviously, the Franks being up with Paladin, it is a huge power spike, and at no point did Vivi really have more than 20 Paladins on the map, I feel. But the fact that he had that tech in, the fact that he could just spend whatever resources he was gathering into making just a small number of Paladins, and simply just due to the sheer power of them, able to get in there and do considerable damage, yeah, it become very difficult for Nicov to hold on in that position, especially on this right side. Like, he never really got this back. I feel like maybe if you'd have got that back and locked that down, he might feel a little bit better about this situation. But the gold on the left side had been mined out. And if we look at Nikov's gold at this point, he's down to just 24. And without any gold, he can't make any more units. And without any more units, he can't hold on against the Paladins, even if there are only 5 to 10 of them coming in at a time. So, never found that gold in the back. The gold on the right side was locked down, and Vivi eventually does close out the game. It looked like it was going his way for a long time, but Nicov certainly made a really good go of it, trying to come back into it right there. But in the end, Nicov wasn't able to stabilize completely and ends up dropping into game 2. So Vivi will take the lead 2-0, and we'll back out of this game and prepare for game number 3, which I believe has been launched. Oh no, they aborted it, but they'll launch it now, so they should get the next game going very soon. Pardon me, I tickly cough today. I think I'm coming down with a cold. Just typical. I don't usually get colds very often. I think I haven't had a cold in a long while. But yeah, I do occasionally get them, and then it's like right on the day when I'm trying to cast AoE2. That's when the onset of the cold comes. But yeah, we've got our next game going very soon. Obviously, Vivi is 2-0 in the lead at the moment, and looks to be very strong. I mean, Vivi's strength in the first 2 games, from what I've seen so far, it really seems to be in locking down the map control. It looks like he's just really focused on being right up in Nikov's face, taking his forward resources, dropping forward castles, denying areas of the map that are valuable to Nicov, and then keeping his focus at home. So I think a lot of that is going to come down to the map. Obviously, if Nicov gets a map with, 3 golds in the back, it's going to be a lot harder for Vivi to do that. That might be where Vivi is going to struggle in this series. It may also be just a matter of getting warmed up. It may be that in a few games' time, or a couple of games' time, Vivi being up in Nikov's face, it's going to become a bit more predictable, and maybe Nicov will, in turn, go for some earlier aggression. I did think, to be honest, that Nicov would try some kind of men-at-arms play that game, just to try and put the pressure onto Vivi at the start and keep those scouts on Vivi's side and then follow that up. But the way he played that second game, the start of that second game, was very defensive. It was very wally. And when you play like that, it really just invites your opponent to come forward and claim the front of your base as their own. So we can take a look at the civs. We'll run you through that. Just to answer Mizzy Hood's question. The civs, there isn't a draft. They pick each civ one by one. And we could probably show you that if Ham wants to change the scene. Then he's probably not listening. No. Yeah, he is. There we go. So you can see that Vivi's on the bottom line, Nikov's on the top line. And Nicov chose Chinese in game 1, Malians in game 2, and now he can no longer pick those civs for the remainder of the series. He can pick the Aztecs, he can pick the Franks, but Vivi cannot. And then the green bar just shows which civilization or which player won the game in question. It is hidden civ, Javi, so players cannot see what their opponent will pick until the game starts, which is, in my opinion, really good because it prevents them sitting there in the lobby just counter-picking each other for ages. Well, not really counter-picking each other, but trying to one-up each other, which I think is quite nice. Yeah, so game 3 will be coming up very soon. We're just waiting for it for the spec delay to start. Hasn't started just yet, so we'll get that going. Where is Robo's mug? I don't know. I don't think Robo has a mug, actually. He doesn't really drink tea or coffee, so you should probably ask, where's Robo's flask? He carries a flask around with him. I have a mug. It's a very big tankard, and I drink tea from it, or coffee, because I drink a lot of tea and coffee. Start my day with a coffee, drink tea all day long, and then go to bed and not be able to sleep because I've got too much caffeine in my body, as always. So 1 minute 30 spec delay has just started. We'll get our third game going in a few moments here. And we'll see if Nicov can start to come back. Obviously, it's 5 wins to win the series, so we're still quite far away from anyone being anywhere near to winning. But obviously, it does help your mental sort of state a little bit more if you're not down 3-0, 4-0, and have to do a big comeback. I want to buy a cold brew coffee maker. Ashlyn, why do you need to buy a special piece of equipment to make a cold brew? All you have to do is put the coffee in the water and leave it in the fridge overnight, and then press it with a standard cafetiere, or French press, as you call it in America. It's very easy. It's very good as well. I really recommend it. You don't need any fancy equipment to do that. Although I probably imagine it would make it a lot easier because it would probably drip it through, right, if you had to make a machine. But you can do it without. Oh, well, there you go. $15. You can't really complain at that for some nice cold brew coffee. But we are going into game 3 right now. And spawning up to the north of the map in the blue, it is Nicov. This time, he is bringing out the big guns. It's going to be the Aztec pick for Nicov. And it's almost as if Fat Dragon knew that they were coming. And he was like, right, well, I'm going to be the Mayans. And he is. So there you go, down to the south of the map in the red. Mayan pick for Fat Dragon. It's going to be that Meso War. And, you know, back in the day, God, I probably cast 100 Aztec Wars. And it's kind of nice to be able to see Aztecs versus Mayans. It's sort of variation on the theme. They're both Meso. They're both, you know, similar. They both have similar tech trees, but with some distinct differences and slightly different bonuses. And it just spices things up just a little bit. Nicov then, let's take a look at his map. Looks like he's got that gold against the edge of the map again. Second time in a row now, which is awkward, but it's okay. It's at least behind his TC. And maybe quite easy to defend if he walls up here. May have to incorporate this stone mine as part of his wall. If he walls in toward the TC here, or if he perhaps walls out across this way, but it's quite a large wall to make, especially, pardon me, especially if he has to wall out the right side as well. And the right side may very well be where the Fat Dragon decides to push, because both of Nikov's golds are on the right-hand side as well. And they're both quite far away from safety. They're pretty much unwallable. I mean, how do you wall these? You just don't really, do you? You've got to lock that down by having map control. And I think Nicov needs to do that here. And if anything, with the Aztecs, he really has no excuse not to do some kind of Fire Militia Dark Age action or early Feudal Age action with the militia. So, oh! I didn't see this coming, but Nikov's actually going to find his way back into the series by trying to steal the boar. He may lose it. I think he was thinking he was going to lose it there. If he takes another hit, though, downhill hit, he's going to lose his Eagle Scout. He cannot take another hit. He's going to be fine. Into the TC he goes. The Eagle Scout from Fat Dragon will get taken out by the TC if he stays any nearer, and he will successfully steal that boar. That is exactly what he needed. Whoa, that was close. One hit downhill. 25% extra attack. 25% of 4 is 1. 4 plus 1 is 5. His scout had 5 HP remaining. That was clutch. And he does manage to get that boar all the way back. And that means that Vivi now, also after taking a handful of arrows from the town center, will probably be very hesitant about trying to steal back, even though he does see the boar of Nicov behind his base. So Nicov off to a solid start here, and that's going to be very, very, very good for him, given that he will likely want to be building a barracks in just a few seconds and starting to make some militias. Or maybe he'll delay the militia just a little bit, but we'll see. Third boar coming in for Nicov now. Vivi wants to try and block it, but he missed his timing, and yeah, he's not going to be able to deny that boar. This time Nicov taking all 3 boar before he even took 2 last game. So I'd say that was an improvement from last time, probably. Let's take a look at Fat Dragon's base. Looks like he's got a good map, to be honest. He's got this nice back gold, back berries. He's got really good wood lines, sort of making a very natural wall around his TC. His extra golds, though, are forward, and I think this right side, this area of the map right here, between these 2 golds and these 2 golds here, it's going to be in big contest, and I think there's going to be a castle coming up on this hill at some point. There's going to be a lot of pressure to the right-hand side. And that's interesting because the 2 bonus golds are off to the left side. And they're quite evenly placed, maybe favoring Nicov slightly, but these might see some action if one player manages to dominate the right side of the map. So Nicov there, going up to feudal now, and he will actually go up to feudal before making any militia. He is, however, sending 2 vills, or 1 vill, over to gold. So we will see, by the looks of things, some men-at-arms coming soon, once he reaches feudal. And Fat Dragon looks like he's going to be opening with double range archery production. as he's just doing a single barracks now. And, well, I mean, he could still add militia, actually. I was going to say he's already added 3 farms, so that's going to hurt him a little bit. And against the Aztecs, it almost seems suicidal to open into archers. But he has sent 3 vills over to gold, so he'll be able to switch on to archers pretty quickly after this. He may also just continue adding militia. There's quite a lot of options here. I think if he was able to wall his base a little bit easier, he may have decided to make less militia and go into archers quicker. But in this case, against the Aztecs, yeah, you just can't open into archers because those men-at-arms are going to be in your base in no time. And so there they are, the men-at-arms upgrade coming in for Nicov now. Extra militia being created by the Fat Dragon, though, and he'll be able to do men-at-arms as well right now, as well as a couple of quick walls on the left-hand side to keep these guys out. Is that closed? Yes, it is. No hold this time. There's usually a hole somewhere, but not here. Not today. He's also doing some big walls to the back of the map just to close that off, securing the deer at the rear. The deer at the rear. I like it. He's actually milled them as well, which is pretty smart. I mean, there's 4 of them. They're quite far away, and he needs his scout now with his men-at-arms because otherwise he'll lose the fight. Archery range coming up straight away, and the archery range for Nicov, he's just 1 step ahead. I mean, interestingly, he's actually only done 3 men-at-arms here. And it's forced because you just expect the Aztec player to make 5 men-at-arms. You're like, he's going to make 5. We all know he's going to make 5. I better make 5 myself. And that's exactly what's happened. Fat Dragon, Vivi, has made 5 men-at-arms here. And that plays quite well in Nikov's favor because he only made 3. So he can handle these, but he's also transitioned into ranges a little quicker, and he's got archers out as well, which, as we know, archers deal with men-at-arms quite nicely, thanks to the fact that they move faster. And with 2 archers in the back, he can absolutely win this fight. So that's kind of good for him, and it's saved him a little bit of food as well. It's saved him a little bit of gold on the men-at-arms production. I like it. I like it a lot. And I think you need to make those savings against the Mayans, because of course, as we know, they have cheaper archers. I'm enjoying you guys in the chat discussing the deer in the rear. I mean, it does sound kind of painful, but you know, it's an effective way of getting food. These poor deer probably disagree, but what can they do about it? They're dead. Not a lot they can do about that. In we go, though. Nicov trying to push forward now. Obviously, the hill favors the dragon, so he'll back up. We've actually got a second range up for Nicov before the blacksmith. But Fat Dragon actually only has 1 range. Then adds the blacksmith, and he doesn't have the second range yet. Nicov has the range, but he doesn't have the resources for fletching, because he's doing horse collar first and doesn't have the food now. But he's going to have a lot more archer production in theory, especially given that he has faster military production as well. He's also stone walling out the right hand side. I said, you know, earlier on, how's he going to wall this up? Well, Palisade was never going to be the answer. Palisade was not the answer. And I think Nikov's learned from last games that he cannot give Vivi the opportunity to come in here and deny this gold. And so he will wall this up. And he's got enough HP on these walls that the army of Vivi is having to go around the long way. And the long way is a hell of a long way, but he's going to figure out pretty soon that this is walled off. And maybe, I mean, he could break through here. One of these wall pieces is like 60 HP, so he could go through quite easily. Of course, Nicov will be able to react to that and respond to that. In fact, he will actually look to break through the wall piece. And it's going to go down pretty quick. Only 900 HP walls, and with very little HP on the wall, it's already gone. But Nicov really investing heavily there just to secure this gold. He needs it long term. Fat Dragon kind of doing the same, only it's a palisade wall. So he's saving the stone. And stone savings are good if you're the mines. You know, the stone savings are good if you're any civ, but mines especially. get the castle up a little bit faster. Get TCs going a little bit faster as well. And it should be an easy time for Nicov to push Fat Dragon back here. He just needs to follow up with his walls, though, and close that out. But yeah, he should be able to push him back, I think. They are even on upgrades right here, and Nicov has got more units on the map, and he's reinforcing with a good mix of skirms and archers. So he absolutely will repel Fat Dragon here and then close the wall out. After that, thinking about going up to the Castle Age and getting control of these gold piles, I think that's the play right here. It's a very big wall, but it's one that's almost a necessity in this game after how last game went. And the first game, in fact, as well. He's even getting wheelbarrow before he goes to castle. It's like Nicov is evolving. It's perfect. It's perfect. There's a hole here. I mean, why wouldn't there be? Right there, look. And suddenly I have small walls. I swear I had big walls earlier, but now they're small. No idea. But it doesn't really matter too much. I kind of like the small walls, actually. They look kind of cute. Really stumpy. But yes, we should see Nicov up to castle momentarily. 100 food away. And Aztec farmers a little faster than the Mayan farmers, which is nice. And you can see the difference, actually, in food collected here. That'll play out, or we'll check that in a moment to see the actual numbers. But just watching that fight, Nicov fighting uphill, but comfortably winning with his superior numbers. Let's take a look at food gathered. It's actually, wow, really similar food gathered. Really similar food gathered. In fact, overall, it's Fat Dragon who's gathered the most units. Most resources. I mean, it's amazing, really. He's 600 wood ahead. He's 200 gold ahead. And he's even about 50 food ahead as well. So Fat Dragon economically has done a very good job right here of pulling ahead. But yeah, I think that's quite interesting, really, isn't it? Like the comparison between the eco there. They both have wheelbarrow, yes. So Nicov now going to be first up to castle. He's adding his second barracks. He'll be going for Eagle Warriors. And I imagine he'll be adding extra TCs. But it could all be a ruse. His priority doesn't seem to be on the town centers here. His priority certainly seems to be on map control. Because unlike Nicov, Vivi's actually walled the gold out of his base. And Nicov may want to abuse that fact and try and hold this hill, if possible, and prevent Vivi from getting out here. So, quite a big dedication to military production. 3 barracks coming up. We're going to see crossbow, obviously. We're going to see Eagle Warrior coming in as well. I say obviously. He's not done it yet, but he should be doing it. Eagle Warrior upgrade taking priority, it seems, right now. And I think we'll see similar from Vivi. He's going to add a second barracks as well. He's also adding archers for crossbow. And Nicov just doesn't have crossbow yet, but he does have Eagle Warrior completed. We see crossbow being done immediately for Fat Dragon, though. And those eagles from Nicov need to get in there and start doing damage. This is actually going to be a really bad fight for him if he's not careful, because all of his archers are going to get cleaned up. And once the archers are gone and crossbow and bodkin's in, these Eagle Warriors, which are pretty low, will get cleaned up as well. I think that was a really, really poor fight for Nicov there. Going to have to go back now, and he would have probably done a lot better if he had crossbow researched. It's interesting that he just didn't do it. I guess he's only going for eagles, though. He's not actually continuing to make archers. So it may very well be that he's just thinking, well, I'm not going to go archers long term anyway. I'm just going to forgo the upgrade. Even though I think with the number of archers he had, it probably would have been worth it. He's saving on the resources, and instead he's going for squires, chainmail armor, adding a 4th barracks, going to be going for extra Eagle Warriors from there. And it's going to be all in on eagles for now. Now, the nice thing is he can expand to these golds without worrying too much about being pressured there. Obviously, he's going to know long in advance before anything comes and takes out this eco on the right side, because the walls are in place now. Vivi, on the other hand, he's going to add his second TC. No third TC in sight just yet, but where does he add that third town center? He really wants to get the golds on the front of his base. I mean, fortunately, being the mines and having longer lasting resources, this gold mine in the back will serve him well for a little while. But it's only a matter of time. And with Nicov being so aggressive with so many barracks here, this could work well for Nicov. But Fat Dragon adding in the long swords now, which is a really good adaptation here. Quickly bringing them out. Unfortunately for him, he's a little bit too outnumbered. So the long swords are going to go down pretty quickly. And the Eagles are going to try and run up the hill and surround the crossbows. There is a good number of crossbows out. But with the +2 defense done, that's 5 pierce armor on these guys. They're only doing 2 damage per shot with 55 HP. You got to hit them 17 times. Sorry, 27 times to take them out. I think that's right. So, yeah, also the longswords have no upgrades apart from +1 defense. So the Eagles with +2 attack are doing just fine as well. I think Nicov may have misclicked on the archery range and made a single archer, but that's fine. The archer... Oh, archers could be pretty good for him as well, though. That's the problem, right? Just go for a single unit. You can be countered. And with this many crossbows out, even if they only do 2 damage per hit, he's got a solid number of them. 21 ranged units for Vivi. That's nearly enough to one-shot these Eagles. And with the long swordsman in front doing a little bit of tanking, this could work out for Vivi. Defender's advantage, though, for Nicov here might mean that he can reinforce this, but no, he just can't get on top of those crossbows. And can't take a good fight there. So it's going to be a case of now Vivi sitting on front of Nikov's base. This time, though, it's not so bad. This time, Nicov isn't being pressured at his gold. He's got 2 TCs on his gold spots. And if this army gets in, he may lose some villagers, but he won't be completely denied of resources. And there you go, a siege workshop up. Mangonel pops out. Didn't see the siege workshop back there, to be honest. It was blending in quite well with the other buildings, but the Mangonel certainly didn't miss that. And we see the army of Fat Dragon there getting cut down quite quickly. But still, the Eagle Warriors not performing too well in this position against those long swordsmen. They're very, very strong against this. So Fat Dragon, again, in commanding control of the map. Hasn't moved out to take the gold yet, but still has plenty left at the back of his base for the time being. And now coming forward with the forward monastery. Same as last game. Forward monastery every time. He loves it. And hey, why not? You're against the Aztecs. If you can deny 4 relics, then that's just awesome for you, right? You don't want the Aztecs getting the relics and getting the relic bonus as well. I mean, ideally, you don't want your opponent getting any relics in any situation, but still, let's see how he can handle this. 2 Mangonels now, making it much harder to micro against. The Mangonels getting some good shots onto the crossbow. They're going down very low. And with enough Eagles there to finally deal with the longer swords, this is going to get pushed back, but not before the Mangonels go down. But still, a really good fight for Nicov there, choosing the right time to finally push out and just take down a good number of military units from Vivi. Really nicely done. He may even kill the monk here because, well, okay. Okay, Vivi. That's a forward castle if I've ever seen one. Interesting. I'm curious as to why he's put it here and not like here, for example. Because that would range the gold and allow him to break through the wall. But let's see if he can pull this off. Obviously, the Mangonel in play can take out villagers. But it could also be taken down quite quickly by these long swordsmen, which have suddenly just disappeared. And I think that's it. Vivi trying to attack the Mangonel with the villagers. The Mangonel's on 5 HP. It will go down, but it's going to give Nicov time to get a tower up. The Eagle Warriors are all over the crossbow. And that is going to be a doubt castle right there. Vivi, 3rd time he's dropped a forward castle, and it's the 3rd time that Nicov will finally get to deny it. The previous attempts, Vivi was successful. This time, Nicov, a little bit wise to Vivi's approach to these games. But I've got to say, I'm enjoying the long swordsman switch. I think that's quite nice. The problem is that castle... I mean, just it's better served over here, isn't it, really? And all this time, Vivi's been on 2 TCs, by the way. Going for this really, you know, I'm going to be in your face, really aggressive play. Nikov's had 3 TCs up and running, and he's ahead now by 30 vills after killing those vills that came forward as well. So, really good play for Nicov, really strong position for him right now. But Fat Dragon is not done yet. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. Why would he be done yet? No, 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 he isn't done yet. There is going to be a TC, a castle, sorry, right here, but he's only got 3 villagers building it. So I would bet my entire wallet that that will not go up. If, of course, Nicov sees it. And does he see it? Yeah, he sees it. So he should deal with that. Oh, his mangonels as well, doing good damage. Right here onto those long swordsmen. More villagers are coming over, though. So actually, with more villagers coming over, it may go up. But with only 3 there at the beginning, it did give Nicov such a huge window of opportunity to actually, like, deny this. He gets a tower up now. The mangonels are coming over. He's going to have a hill bonus. There's going to be 3 mangonels. And that castle, it's on 70%, but he's bailing. Oh, and he should bail. He should bail. He should get his bucket, and he should bail. There's no way that that is happening. And thank God that he did bail, because otherwise I may have had to forfeit the contents of my wallet. Which at the moment is nothing, so I guess I really wasn't betting that much. But GG now being called as Nicov denies the 2nd castle in a row and cleans up the majority of Vivi's army, adding in the Scorpions for good measure. What a messy fight that was. I mean, if you look at this scene right here, you've got this denied castle at the top, you've got bodies strewn around everywhere, you've got random villagers in the mix, you've got some long swords, you've got scorpions. That was a blast. But we could see that Nicov was clearly pulling ahead there, and I gotta say, these walls on the right side may very well have saved him that game. I think Vivi wasn't confident taking it to the late game. He was probably thinking, wait, I've got to end this. I've got to end this in castle. I've got to do my Vivi things and get really aggressive and get up in his face and try and deny his gold. Boy, if he'd have just sent more villagers to build that castle instead of just 3, I think he would have gone up. If he'd have actually been able to, I don't know, if he'd have built that castle with, let's say, 8 villagers from the start, there's a much better chance it would have gone up. Much better chance he would have denied that gold. He would have been able to retreat to the castle, which would have meant that the mangonels would have been ineffective. He would have been able to use the castle to break the wall. He would have been able to go in and maybe try and deny this gold after trying to take down the TC. So much of that game sort of hinged on Vivi completing that castle. Of course, there's many other ways that you can approach it as well. You don't have to go for the all-in castle-in-the-face approach. He could have built a defensive castle over here. He could have tried to mine these golds. He could have gone into Plumed Archers, which, as we know, have an attack bonus against Eagle Warriors, and tried to play the micro game with the plumes. But no. He had to go for the forward castle, and when he failed the 2nd castle and lost his army, at that point he knew it was done. He didn't just lose his army as well. He lost a lot of villagers. Look at the villager difference in the end there. 110 vills for Nicov, 53. For Vivi, and Nicov does come back. He puts his first point on the board, and this series may very well be a close one here as Nicov starts to pull that score back. Let's see if he can continue on in that fashion. Let's see if he can equalize it to 2-2, or if that was just an anomaly. We'll see. That was good though for Nicov. I'm quite pleased that you know, it's not turning into a 3-0, because, like I said, I'd rather see more games than less. So the more games, the better. Looks like the players will have a short break here, while they take a quick toilet break, grab something to drink, probably. Maybe that's a good time for you guys to do that too. And, yeah. Doubt happened, Sky Guardian. Yeah, Doubt was sort of embodied there by Fat Dragon. He sort of felt something within him just calling him to build that doubt castle, and he knew what he was doing. He knew it would be a terrible idea. He knew it would backfire, but the power of doubt compels him. I mean, to be fair, it's not really that surprising for a forward castle, is it? He did do it for the first 2 games, and he did it in game 3. He may very well do it in game number 4 as well, so we will see. But yeah, Fat Dragon here currently still leads, but Nicov definitely adapting, I think. You know, you saw how he played the first 2 games. He played very defensively. He played very sort of open in a way. He didn't really lock down the extra golds. Game 3, he was like, no way. I am balling that with stone. I am locking it down. You are not dropping, you know, a forward monastery and siege workshop. And, you know, I think it helped the Aztecs for sure. I mean, they're such a strong Arabia Civ anyway. But there were things he did in that game that he didn't do in the previous 2 that set it apart for me. And it seemed to work quite well. So he's kind of, maybe he's got Vivi's number right now. I mean, I think he should have Vivi's number anyway. I mean, at this point in time, I'm pretty sure everybody knows Vivi's playstyle and knows what Vivi's up to. But that Nicov at this point has adapted may bode well for him for the rest of the series. And maybe Vivi will have to adapt in return. Maybe you have to get even more aggressive. Maybe we'll see a tower rush, which we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen a Vivi trush just yet. I like your cap, Zach. Thank you, Javi. It's an escape cap. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been saying, oh, the cap's for sale. Why can I buy one? They were for sale 2 years ago. They're not anymore. Missed the opportunity. The ship has sailed. You know, back when we were doing Age of Empires 2 events in 2016, 2017, they were for sale then. But no one was buying them. No one was buying the caps, so we didn't leave the caps on sale. We took them off sale, and now suddenly, when they're off sale, everyone wants to buy them again. Makes no sense. People don't know what they're missing out on until they're gone. That's the sad truth. But we're certainly not going to be missing out on this series because it is still early days. 3 of a potential 9 games have been played. We're still 2 points away from any kind of match, or 2 games from any kind of match point. So there's still plenty left to play for in this series. Remember when Escape had a CSGO team? I do remember that, Paladin Knight Sword. Surprisingly, yes, I do remember. Since I was the manager of that team. It was really fun, actually. I had a great time doing that. But it's kind of, I don't know, it opened my eyes to esports in a way, in terms of like what was going on in the industry and how up and down it all was, and how it's still got such a long way to go. You know, esports industry is in its infancy right now. It's a baby, and it's gone a long way very quickly. There's a lot of big companies and people getting involved in esports, which is cool, but it's still got such a long way to go. You know, you compare esports to real sports, and you can see it clear as day. If you're involved in it in a deeper level, like when we had the CSGO team, for example, you know, you make contracts with the players because you have to have a contract. You have to say, you're playing for us, you're going to be paid money, you know, these are the terms of the arrangement and all that stuff. And then they play for you, and that's great. And then suddenly they're like, actually, I'm going to go join this team now. And you're like, but the contract. And like, I don't care about the contract. What are you going to do? Sue me? I was like, well, technically we could, but why would we do that? Like, who's going to go around suing kids for their esports prize money? No one. So it's a little bit of a wild west at the moment in the esports scene. And that's going to take some time to change, even with all these bigger companies coming in. At least in the sort of tier 2 space. Yeah, it is interesting to see it go more mainstream, Maluka. I completely agree. And I'd like to see it go even more mainstream. But time will tell. I mean, who knows? Maybe Age of Empires can go mainstream one day, but it's got a long way to go. It's got a hell of a long way to go. Right then, we're into game number 4. Down to the south of the map in the blue, as always. And he's going to be blue for the rest of this series as well. Whether he wins or loses, he'll be blue. Nicov playing as the Mongols, bringing out the Mongols. And then up to the northwest in the red, Fat Dragon playing as the Celts. Interesting matchup. Celts coming out quite early, I feel. Mongols, not surprisingly, coming out quite early. I mean, they're a fantastic civ. Very aggressive. Something I hope to see Nicov do. Something we've not seen really much of Nicov do so far this series is scouts. So I look forward to that. Obviously, micro is kind of tough when you're playing against someone from China. But Nicov is now in Italy and not in Argentina. So there will be a little bit less latency. So scout micro should be reasonable. And Vivi going with Celts. Well, you know, with the Celts, you kind of want to be aggressive with the men-at-arms quite early on. And then you kind of want to have at least a little bit of map control because you don't want to get run around the map and get pushed off of stone, for instance. And, you know, with the Celts, I feel like they're really tricky to play. You need to get that transition in the Imperial Age into Wode's Siege and things like that. And it's not always so straightforward. You can't go long-term into knights. You can't go long-term into crossbows because they don't get the later upgrades that other civs do. So it can be tough here for Celts because, like I say, if they want to get that early aggression going, it's much easier to deal with that as the Mongols when you're going up on, what, 19, 20 pop. We'll see. Mars Attacks, thank you very much for that Prime sub. And I wonder, did you, by any chance, name yourself after the movie Mars Attacks? Obviously, you've spelt it differently, but I don't know. Was that the inspiration? Or are you the OG Mars Attacks? Jubin 911 predicting that he will go for 18 pop-up, no loom. That would be something else. Nicov will go up without lube. Okay, well, let's see. Let's see. He's so far taking his second boar. He's pushing deer as well. And Nikov's kind of the man to watch right now. Vivi Trush, I mean, kind of difficult to trush the Mongols, really. Like, it's kind of tough because the scout has extra line of sight, so you're more likely to see it coming. They're up so quickly that, you know, they can counter tower. It's you know, if you want to do a trush, a proper trush, you want to be going up really early as well, so you can get your towers down before they can even react and build a tower of their own, since it's locked behind the feudal age tech. But you guys know Nicov all too well. It is a 18 pop, no loom feudal, going up incredibly quickly, and this should be timed out to a T. He's got a lot of villagers on wood out here, not building the second lumber camp. Oh no, that's a luxury he can't afford. He needs a barracks, he needs a stable, and a second lumber camp is just going to slow him down. Give me free sub. How about predict every single game from now on, and maybe I'll give you one. But they have to predict it right. Not just the one-off game. It's got to be consistent, and then we'll give you a free sub. How about that? So if you can predict how many vills he goes up with and whether or not he does loom for the remaining games of the series, how about that? We'll do that. Fat Dragon steal the sheep. Oh, Fat Dragon's stealing the sheep. That is so big. Diao. That is so big, Diao, right there. He's just going to walk in and not even a reaction. Not even like hopping the villagers in the TC to shoot the scout. Just a straight up, nah, you can have him. Oh, right, okay. So Vivi now going to have 3 sheep here, which Nicov doesn't have, so food's may become a problem. He should be fine for food. Like, he'll have a bit of food. He'll see the militia coming as well. And the fact that he pushed the deer earlier on is fine. He's still got the berries, of course, but it's not good. He'd rather have the sheep. Transition onto farms earlier than he'd like. He's not built the second lumber camp, remember. So his choppers are a little bit less effective as well. And here comes the militia, and just in time, Nicov manages to get Loom, but the walls, oh, well, they're not in time at all. They're going to get forced back toward the TC, and he'll manage to get a volley of arrows off onto the units there. Nikov's definitely looking for his sheep, look. He is looking for them right here on the left side. He's like, where are they? I want them. I want them now. But no. No. They're being held hostage at the edge of the map, and they might end up slipping by. Nicov, though, will get enough scouts out for now. The 4th scout will come out, and that's it. He's not going to have any food now. He's pushed off berries. He's not got any sheep under the TC. He's only got 5 farms. So food is an issue, to say the least. And the 4 scouts will have to do the trick. Fortunately, they will do the trick. These are only militia. They're not men-at-arms. Fat Dragon isn't going for a fast feudal men-at-arms play. It looks like he's almost going for a Drush FC. And look at these walls. It's quite an interesting wall on his base. But he has contained within those walls 2 of the golds. He's got 2 lumber camps up on the wood line at the back. He's got farms. That's right. He can farm. And, well, I say Drush FC. He's not going to have the gold because he's not mining gold. And he's only on 24 vils. So it won't be necessarily Drush FC here, because that would just be way too ambitious with so few vils. So he's going to actually add the staple himself. But it does open with the militia. And whoa, Nicov does find his sheep. So he's going to get those home, finally. Good stuff for Nicov. But he doesn't have any more scouts, only the 4 here. He may add more. I mean, you kind of want to add more, but he will transition into a range in just a moment, I imagine. But behind these walls, I mean, he does not know what Fat Dragon is doing. I mean, he could probably find out if he bought a scout here. The extra line of sight would allow him to see the stable, but he doesn't know if it's a stable or an archery range. He himself is opening with an archery, or following up with an archery range, but he doesn't have any villagers on gold, so it looks like he'll open with maybe 1 archer or 2 archers, and, well, just 1, and then make skirms, which will be quite ineffective if he gets caught out by the scouts of Vivi here. It's a question of whether or not Vivi will give himself away with the scouts. At the moment, though, he's coming forward with spears, sort of positioning them on this hill next to the berries, which is kind of, they've gone undercover over here. Time to start raiding the villagers, boys, tickling them with our feathers on a stick, because that's what the spearmen do. Look at that damage. Oh, yes. That's right. 2 damage a poke. Don't get on the wrong side of those spearmen. Look at these villagers. Just shrug it off. Walk it off. Stop tickling me. But just make it kind of difficult for Nicov to engage this, because as more scouts start coming out, that could be a problem. Although he is also adding in spears of his own. So the spearmen should be able to start to push back Vivi just a little bit. And Vivi now will loop around the back, look for another angle. But once again, it's Nicov on the defensive right now, while Vivi is fully walled with all the resources in the world that he needs inside of those walls. He's very comfortable with his position at the moment, and he'll easily transition up to the Castle Age off of this. Question is what he does next after the Castle Age comes in. He could go for knights, but then he's kind of countered by the Mongol camels if Nicov goes into camels. He could go into archers and crossbow, but Nicov could even go cav archer in that instance, or he could just do his own crossbow and add some siege, or, you know, look, there's a lot of options basically, but he will add a second range right now, and Nicov will be scouted, so Fat Dragon will see that. He'll recognize, okay, 2 ranges. I'm quite comfortable with going knights in that case. Although he does still have to be careful not to get sort of one-shotted. Just have to be very careful. And Nicov now going up to the Castle Age, way in ahead of Fat Dragon. Adding in his 3rd archery range, actually. And I think this could be cav archers. This could be like a Hun-style-ish Cav Archer switch. Because he's not queuing any more archers up, look. He's only made skirmishers so far. Gold mining upgrade coming in. A lot of villagers on the wood out on the right side. And, okay, he's adding an archer now. I do wonder if he'll just switch into Cav Archer, though. Could be pretty interesting. Is wheelbarrow in? I would tell you that, but I missed it. I think it is not in. No, he did skip wheelbarrow. But I don't think he really needed it. He was very well macroed to go up to the castle age without wheelbarrow there. It was a very natural transition up. He's also taking the time now to wall up on the left side. As well as this sort of double wall here. So it's open, but it's sort of walled up on the front and the back. So it's kind of like a funnel in toward the TC. Yeah, Nicov here, doing fletching now. I was really thinking he was going to Cav Archer, but after now continuing on with Archer production, I do feel he will go Archers instead, or Crossbow instead. And it looks like Vivi will be going up to Castle as well, following this with Skirmishers. And, just a single range for the time being. He's also going to be a little bit low on wood, I feel, if he's adding a second archery range. He may not get his second TC down straight away. Nicov, however, up to the castle age now. Crossbows coming in. He's going to have enough resources for his second TC immediately. His third TC as well. Maybe that's going to come up at the back here. Or it could come up on the front to protect this gold. Either way, he can afford the third TC. But he might opt instead for a university and ballistics. He may opt for a siege workshop. We'll see what he spends that wood on, but it is there and the options are there at the moment. As Bodkinara comes in now and he comes around to the right side of Vivi's base. Vivi actually forced to put a tower here. So definitely not going to be seeing a second TC out of Vivi straight away. And this is where I feel like the Celts are in the most awkward position at all. I feel like this is where they are in the most awkward position. Like, what do you do as the Celts in this position? I think you need siege. So we should see a siege workshop coming up for Vivi pretty quickly here. He's also doing skirmisher and knight. Okay. So yeah, I mean, skirmishers are okay. Knights are okay unless there's a critical mass of units. And it looks like Nicov is actually switching into Cav Archers. So I thought he was. Pardon me. I thought he was. But yeah, I think that going into some archers on the transition up is absolutely fine anyway. But yeah, there's absolutely nothing that Fat Dragon can do right now. I mean, Nikov's fully walled. And Nicov has got his access to gold. Thank goodness for that. And he does indeed go for the third TC at the back on the gold there as well. So I like that. And I think he's in just a fantastic spot overall. We do see the second TC for Fat Dragon. Continued knight and skirmisher production, and there is the siege workshop. As I say, I feel like he needs that. I don't think knights and skirm is going to be enough here. We've even got some knights from Nicov as well, just to add to that cavalry archer mix. And he's got a little bit of everything going on right now. Now, we'll see if he can... I mean, I'm wondering what he's going to do later on. Maybe a castle out on the front of his base could be in a good position. Obviously, he is the Mongols. He's going to want to get castles at some point and transition into Magadai at some point. Which is why I'm a big advocate, actually, of Mongols going for Cav Archer in the castle age. Because you want to get those techs for the Cav Archers as well. You want to get bloodlines. And then when you go up to Imperial, you get Parthian tactics. That's going to affect your Cav Archer as well, whatever you have left over. So I think that's quite nice. But it looks like we're going to see the push now. Fat Dragon with his signature Monastery and Siege Workshop. Just 2 TCs from him. And that Mangonel is going to start off reasonably well. It'll stay alive. It'll do quite a good amount of damage to Nikov's archer units there as they back away. And he's going to link up with the Cav Archers on the right side after taking out the scouts. He did deal with the scouts there as well on the right-hand side. But yeah, Fat Dragon has got a reasonable army here. It's quite scary if the mangonel isn't dealt with, and if a second mangonel or third mangonel starts to come out, then it could become problematic for Nicov. He's also pushed off the gold on the front, which is annoying. But Nicov with his own siege workshop will trade there. I was just about to go look for the siege workshop, but it was right there. So he can immediately trade off that mangonel for himself, and again, that's still very good for Nicov. All the while, he's pulling ahead in villagers, remember, thanks to having that third TC up and running. Whereas Fat Dragon's only just adding the third TC on the left-hand side. So right now, Nicov going to send those cav archers out to the right side to try and raid, get some raiding damage done, while his mangonels are left at home to defend. He's immediately going to wheel back around, though, because he just doesn't want to send them out while he's being pressed like this. The knights are going to come in. They need to be focused down quickly, but there's no way that he can protect that mangonel in that position. And these skirmishes there will do so much damage. They just took down nearly every unit of Nicov from the feudal age that he built there, that he trained in feudal. There's only this scout left, and that's about to go down as well. Now Nikov's left with just his cav archers at the moment. He's very outnumbered, in fact, by Fat Dragon. This is what I love about Fat Dragon. He gets so aggressive. It's great. We see the second siege workshop and a stable from Nicov now. And that's interesting, right? Like, that's going to be 2 siege workshops against 1. Because he's fallen behind in the mangonel war. And he needs to trade them off. And oh, that was good. Oh, he doesn't get the second one, though. Maybe, no. The knights are there. So far, Nikov's down 3 mangonels. Looks like Fat Dragon's down by 2. It's getting very difficult to defend. And I think as well, you know, he knows that this siege workshop on the front is going to get pressured. So if that goes down, he needs one in the back to fall back on. Fat Dragon right now is in such an interesting position. He's able to push in with the knights. Celtic knights with +1 defense. And it's like, he doesn't even care. Why should he care? They're not in that much trouble at all. There's a good number of mangonels here, and oh, the mangonels going straight over the heads of those cav archers, but Nicov has to back up. There's no way he gets that castle up there. He needs to deal with those mangonels. Just doesn't have enough cav archer here either. And they're just a liability right now while those mangonels are on the field. He'll get the trade here. That's good. If he can get the other one, then maybe he can get the TC down on the front. Sorry, the castle down on the front. But no, he's having to build the castle in the most annoying, worst position ever. Behind his TC. Oh, God, that's awful. Blocking all the farms, doesn't protect the gold. It could be so much more. But Nicov here recognizes that he needs the castle. He needs the castle to stop this push. He needs the castle because adding some Mangadai right now would be great. He can use them to take down the Mangonels as well. But that's pretty good for Nicov. He just finds a second Mangonel now and trades that off with a single Mangonel while keeping it alive. So, yeah, Nikov's just banking on the fact that once Mangadai come out, it's going to be in a better position. I mean, obviously, Castle Age Mangadai are just that. They're not the best. They still need a lot of upgrades before they can truly become the Mangadai that we all know and love in the Imperial Age. But they're still formidable in the Castle Age. And wow, great stuff. Nicov getting 3 Mangonels with his single Mangonel here. And would you look at that? Is that a castle on the front of Nikov's base for the 4th game in a row? Yes, it is. Is he going to complete it this time? Probably, because he sent 8 villagers to build it. In fact, that's 9 villagers. And, wow, look at that. He takes another Mangonel down. That's awesome. But it's too late for Nicov. Even if he kills off that army, even if he trades it all off, Fat Dragon gets the castle on the front. Nicov builds a second castle now, where he originally planned to build it. And now buys his way up, I believe, to the Imperial Age. Buying food, selling wood. Buying more food, selling more wood. Or selling and buying food. I don't know what he's doing, but he's going up to the Imperial Age. And Fat Dragon will be up first, but it will be 2 castles against 1. And Fat Dragon is not going to have a castle by the time he reaches Imp. by a castle, I mean a second castle. He has, however, got 4 TCs. So he's going to be catching up in villager count as well on the transition up. Yeah, I think Nicov here in a really strong position now, actually. Because once he gets up, he'll add 2 trebs. He'll be able to take down that castle, win the treb war. He's got his Mangadai as well, so they can start to raid now, and they can, look at this, easily pick off Mangonels. 3 volleys, sorted. And okay, he loses a Mangonel for a Mangadai for it, but it's not too bad in the end. So Nicov now in a pretty good position. He does need to get that gold back, though, because the gold in the back of his base is about to run out. And both of his forward golds, again, being denied. In fact, I say he's in a good position, but he's only got 70 gold left. Where does he go after that? Looking at the minimap, you can see there's gold here, and then there's gold way out east and way up to the north. He's not getting those. I don't even think he knows they're there. No, he doesn't. So Nikov's actually out of gold right now. And he may very well have to use the market for a little bit. He's exploring for gold, look, with these villas. He's looking like there's got to be a bonus gold out here somewhere. But no, there is not. Maybe the plan is actually to just drop stables here and then raid with the light cav. That could be the approach as well. And meanwhile, Vivi is just adding more and more TCs to try and make himself raid proof. But yeah, we've got Onager coming in for Vivi. Straight up Onager. My goodness me, he has so little military. Just Onager, that's it. Onager and 2 skirms. What a combo. But if those Onagers hit, they could be pretty devastating. But no, it looks like Nicov is actually looking for gold. He's just not finding it. I thought he'd go for stables and try and run light cav in, since he's on a budget and all, you know. But for now, he's actually adding a 3rd castle back here. And we'll be taking out that castle, like I say, successfully. Because it's 2 trebs against 1. I mean, how do you win that in Vivi's situation? The answer is you don't. Unless, of course, Nicov kills his own treb with his Mangonel, which, well, that didn't happen, so he's fine. Yeah, 3 trebs now against the 2, and Nikov's completely dry. He's got 0 gold right now. Absolute rock bottom gold for Nicov, and he doesn't have any relics either, so he doesn't even have a trickle of gold. He's just going to have to sell at the market. It's 67 gold for 100 wood right now. He's got a little bit of wood in the bank, so he might sell a little bit of wood here. For now, they're repairing his castle. And wait, he didn't actually take the castle down. Nicov, if the job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Let's finish the job that we started, shall we? The trebs. Come on. You can't pack up and go home. You're not finished. Take the castle down first. Oh, that could cost Nicov the treb war in a way. Because Fat Dragon has now actually got 4 trebs. No, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. 4 trebs against 3 though, but the castle is neutralized. He can maybe begin to get the front of his base back. And the reason I say he'll be fine is because he has Mangadai, and Mangadai will run in and be able to snipe these trebs in theory. But it's 4 trebs against the 2 now. Trebs for Fat Dragon, looking pretty healthy. So, yeah, packing the trebs, not such a strong play from Nicov, and Vivi is still on the front of his base, being an absolute nuisance as always. And it looks like Vivi is once again miraculously in this amazing position. Man, Nicov could have done that so much better, I feel, but okay. If he can take out these trebs, he'll be okay, but he doesn't have the gold. Without the gold, he can't make Mangadai, and oh no, that castle is being replaced. Nikov's lack of gold is just costing him the whole game. He's lost another castle now. And he's calling GG with 3 Gs. The GGG. And it had no light cav, had no upgrades to the scouts. He was gold starved. And that was messy. That was so messy. He was winning the treb war. He killed the castle, and then he packed the trebs up and went back, and the castle stayed alive because he didn't finish killing the castle. And that allowed Vivi to get 1 extra treb. That was all he had, 1 extra treb. It was 4 trebs against 3. He then won the treb war. And meanwhile, Nicov couldn't make anything else. He was out of gold completely. He could have sold some more resources, I guess. But yeah, didn't have a relic, didn't have any extra gold. He didn't find any extra gold. It was out here to the far east of the map. This gold pile, didn't see it. He looked to the west of the map, didn't see any gold there either because the extra gold was up in the north. And of course, he hadn't scouted that one either. So for the 4th game in a row now, 4th game in a row, Vivi has dropped a forward castle on Nikov's base, and Nicov has crumbled under the pressure. There's only been 1 game so far where Nicov has held on, and that was the game where he denied the castle. So Vivi, I mean, why would he stop doing this? Vivi is getting every single time. He's coming forward and building these castles every damn time, and it's working every time as well. So, you know, why would he stop doing that? It's working for him brilliantly at the moment, and he takes the lead now 3-1 in this series. It is a best of 9. So if you're just tuning in, if you're just coming in from Doubt stream or Ornlu's stream, thank you guys for the host and welcome. We're doing a best of 9 series between Nicov and Vivi, and I'm thinking it's going to be really close, but Vivi so far is starting to get pretty dominant. But you know, we'll give Nicov some credit here. He's had pretty forward golds on every single game so far. But it looks like they're going to be starting the next game right in a couple of seconds here, or they've just launched it. So they should be starting the game after the spec delay. And of course, with it being a best of 9, Vivi needs just 2 more points to win the series, and Nicov needs to start mounting his comeback now before it gets a little bit too dicey, a little bit too late. Thank you, Ivik, for the 12-month resub. It's our anniversary. Thank you for the support. And he said Ornlu hype. Oh yeah, well, Ornlu hype, welcome to Ornlu and his viewers as well. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for the host. We'll have our next game going in just a few moments here, and you know, this has been a really exciting series so far. It's been full of Vivi shenanigans, as always. I mean, it's always a pleasure to watch Vivi, right? Hey there, Mike in the chat, Ferrati97, Ellie Archer, Noella, hello to you guys coming in, and hopefully you'll stick around for this because it's been a good series so far, and it's going to continue in that fashion. And as you can see by the schedule on the screen as well, after this we're going to be playing Mordau. Ham and I will be chopping off some heads in Mordau at the end of the series, just to sort of take us up to 11 PM. It's currently 7:18 here in the UK. So we've got quite a bit of stream time left today. And hopefully we're going to have quite a close series. They're playing for $150. So there's a lot of motivation here. The winner takes all. So there are no prizes for second place. And I guess that kind of sucks for the second place guy. But, you know, just play better. Easy, right? I mean, if I'm losing, I sit myself down and I say, ZeroEmpires, you're not doing very well right now. Let's turn it around. Let's win. That's what I do. Every time. Every time. Remember that time when I played against the Viper? Yeah, you saw what happened. I lost. But then I sat down and said, time to win. But then he wouldn't rematch me, so we'll never know. But I would have done if we'd have played again, a second game. I guess he just didn't want to waste his time, but yeah, it's a shame for everyone, really. I'll stop. Hey there, Alexander. Yes, it is ZeroEmpires here. And behind the camera is Ham, Robo, and Will. Although I don't know if they're all behind the camera. Well, they are. They're not on stream, but I don't know what they're doing. I think Ham's controlling the stream. Robo's doing the betting. And Will's probably doing some Age of Empires 3 stuff, because we're running an Age of Empires 3 tournament at the moment as well. Easy for Vivi, Kenzie. Well, I don't know if it's easy for Vivi. Nicov may very well win this series. We had a great series last Friday, by the way, and if you're new to the stream, or if you haven't been keeping up with what we're doing, we're streaming show matches every single Friday, best of 9, Arabia show matches, and we've got some really high high caliber players. Last week we had Miguel and Fire, and that was a 5-4 series. It was close. It was really cool. And then week before that, we had Lan and Vilesa. Week before that, we had MBL and Dugao. We had the Max and Yo. We got some of the best players in the world here every Friday, playing a best of 9 show match on the one true map, Arabia. Doesn't get much more competitive than that, really. Ashlyn's kept a plant alive for 3 months. Whoa! Congratulations. If you can do it with a plant, you can do it with a human child. You've got what it takes, Ashlyn. See, I struggle to keep my plants alive, so I wouldn't trust myself with a child. Not yet. Might need a few more years practice first on watering the plants. I don't even just forget to water the plants, I forget to water myself. And by that, I don't mean shower, I mean drink. I never drink enough water. I'm always dehydrated. I've sat here with this huge mug of tea, and I've drank like 3 mouthfuls of it because it's cold now, because I was casting the game. It's full of tea. You can probably see. There you go. It looks kind of not like tea, but it is tea, I promise. In an interview, Nicov said the player he'd choose not to play against is Vivi. Well, that's why he's playing against Vivi, because we like to make the lives of the players miserable. That's how we derive our pleasure. That's right. If they're miserable, we are overjoyed. Right, well, we're going into our next game, and it looks like the shoe is on the other foot. It's Nikov's turn to pick the Celts, and he'll be spawning up to the northwest of the map. Any surprises that his golds biles out in the middle of the map for him? Not at all. Nicov doesn't have map hacks. Nicov isn't the Viper. His maps are trash every time. What a surprise. Down to the south of the map, in the red, it is Vivi. He's playing as the Slavs. Any surprises there? No, not really. He's picking the power civs every step of the way. And in Slavs versus Celts, well, what a matchup, right? This is exciting. I really like this matchup. You've got 2 civilizations that really love their siege. They really love their pikes. And we may just see a clash of civilizations here, which kind of results in a lot of pikes, a lot of siege, maybe some skirms, maybe some monks. And it should be quite interesting, actually. I think it'll be a nice one. I like this matchup. Slavs, of course, a little bit of a better eco bonus. I mean, obviously, Celts have their eco bonus, the faster gathering wood. Slavs, faster gathering farms. But the Slav bonus is probably a little stronger, all in all. And then when it comes to the siege, obviously, the Celts have faster firing siege, and the Slavs have cheaper siege. So if the micro becomes a factor, then the Celts may have the edge there. But economy-wise, economically, the Slavs are going to have the edge. And maybe this is a game where we see some Boyar. Perhaps. It could very well be a game for Boyar. We'll see. Obviously, it depends if we see some kind of thingy. Apparently,
yes.
Asking about a restart. It looks like...
Yes.
Fat Dragon's asking if we have restart. They have restarts. I think Fat Dragon would like to restart here, but it looks like they're choosing to play on. And to be honest, yes, they do have a restart. They're allowed to restart once or twice. I don't know. I don't make the rules. Ask Robo. Yeah, he makes the rules. I'm pretty sure we allowed a restart in the Miguel versus Fire series. It's a best of 9. One restart isn't all too bad, but generally speaking, you know, there is that element of luck involved in Age of Empires when it comes down to your maps. And it doesn't look like Nicov has been all too lucky today, if you want to call it luck. I mean, it's not skill, is it? Like, Viper doesn't skillfully get good maps every game. He uses map hacks for that. So, you know, it's definitely a luck thing. But his gold is awful. I mean, it's so far away. He does have this gold back here, though. But, I mean, again, this is kind of like last game. Yeah, he's got a gold in the back. That's great. But how long is that going to last for? Because last game it didn't last long enough. And oh, I heard a dead villager. That's not a dead villager. That's a dead scout. So Fat Dragon there going to lose his scout, and that's actually a very, very good thing for Nicov, because if we look at the point of view of Fat Dragon, he's got so little information now. He's playing very in the dark, and meanwhile, Nikov's scout here going to be harassing those vills, forcing Fat Dragon to do loom a little bit earlier, preventing him from taking that boar when he'd quite like it, and generally being a nuisance. And when you look at Fat Dragon's point of view, like, he just sees the TC. He doesn't see the wood line. He doesn't know where the gold is. He has no idea that Nikov's map is quite so bad. And his own map isn't perfect, but it's definitely a little better. And oh wow, Nikov's still going to try and lame that boar anyway, but he won't be successful. But yes, he does have a woodline at the back, really nice back stone, very easy to wall this. The barriers are very close, and this gold here, when he finishes this wall, which you see he's going out to the left side, that's going to be closed in as well. So, I mean, I'd much rather have Vivi's map. This gold out here could be annoying later on. I mean, he might have to build a TC or something out here, but, you know, something on the hill could attack that quite easily, and it's quite exposed. And then this gold is also fairly exposed, but it's not half as bad as this gold out here for Nicov. And he's building his barracks so far out in his house here. Where's he gonna go? I mean, is he gonna wall across here? Just wall from the left corner to the right corner of the map. That might be the most effective wall for Nicov, because there's quite a lot of wood lines between them. The problem is defending it. You're never going to be able to actually defend a wall like that. But it looks like militia being queued up right here, and we will see that early Celtic aggression. And is that 4 villagers going forward, I spy? I think it is. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. He's not on stone yet, but he may move a couple of villas over to stone and follow this up with a tower, because obviously Nicov, he has all of the eggs in his basket. That's really the wrong use of that saying. He really has all of the vision of the map, instead of trying to use all of the eggs in his basket. I mean, he doesn't. That's totally the wrong thing. What am I trying to say here? God damn. He's got the vision. He decides where to go. He decides how to play this, and he may very well... Yeah, thanks, Ham. I like how you're bringing up my name on the screen, just to remind everyone who's talking about this nonsense. But, yeah, he'll batter down this watchtower. He'll he'll be able to get through the wall, and he'll find his way on towards this gold here. And maybe even be able to tower creep his way onto the berries, and maybe even into the farms as well. Fat Dragon, meanwhile, doesn't have a barracks up yet. He's just built it now, so can't really react too quickly to this. He's going scouts anyway, so it never was going to be a quick reaction, but he's going to be pretty pleased with the fact that he did build his walls earlier on. Problem for Nicov is that I don't believe he can build a follow-up tower. So what's the plan, Nico? Maybe he's just gonna wall up the gold. He could lame it. He could come in with his villas and fight with villagers. Yes! Give us some of that villager on villager action. Batter down that tower. And that's right. That's right. You force him to make that tower to 90% so that when he deletes it, he doesn't have enough stone to build another one. Unfortunately, he didn't do any of those things. He actually just had to back away because the tower went up. And it looks like Nicov is only just moving over to stone now, so we can build a second tower. This one is in range of the defensive tower of Fat Dragon, but it's... I don't know. I don't particularly think that's a great place. I think moving it to the left or more to the right would be a little better, because then he could deny some farms, but also be out of range of this tower here. Ideally, I don't think you want to be in range of this tower, because eventually I think Fat Dragon will win that. And this tower is going to do minimal damage, because it will go down to the tower here eventually. Meanwhile, Fat Dragon adding in his scouts, and his berries did get sort of harassed a little bit, and he's got like 20 vills on berries here, so his food income was pretty bad, and the Slavic farming bonus hasn't really kicked in yet. Where will you be when the Slavic farms kick in? It's a huge trip. I mean, it's crazy. It's like suddenly you've got no food, and then you have all the food in the world. And at the moment, he's kind of in that transitional period where food is actually a little bit tough, and doesn't really have many scouts. He's 2 scouts. But that's enough, it seems, because he will find some villagers in Nicov's economy. Unfortunately, he won't be able to kill any because, well, only 2 scouts, right? It's not enough to really kill vills if they can retreat to the TC. Another tower on the right side for Fat Dragon as well. And it looks like Nicov was trying to do a tower here, but that's now going to be denied and taken out because Fat Dragon will have the villagers there to attack that. Meanwhile, we're seeing another tower placed by Nicov, this time behind the wood line. Fat Dragon won't see it, but might have a suspicion that it's there. He should have seen the villagers walking in this direction. But I don't think he's going to go check it out, actually. He's sending more scouts forward, and he's going to try to find more villagers. But this time there's a spearman in defense, and there is a hole in this wood line, which was walled up very quickly, so there could be an opportunity there. The scouts are coming in, and I think that should now be Fat Dragon finding a villager kill, at least on the berries. And, oh, he's going to be careful. The spearman getting a few prods in, but yeah, 1 villager will go down. He loses a scout for it, but that's worth it. And meanwhile, Nicov does get his watchtower up on the wood line there. As he goes for... Or sorry, as Fat Dragon goes for another tower here. And like I said, this tower, yeah, it really doesn't do much. It doesn't do much at all. It would have been much better to sort of come out here and creep in a little more. So this tower now will go up, and he'll be able to range this tower down quite comfortably, I think. Still though, let's take a look and assess the situation. Fat Dragon ahead in villagers right now. And that is quite a surprise. Nicov may have had some idle TC time in that case. He only lost a single villager at home. And I don't recall him getting wheelbarrows. So he's definitely fallen behind in vills organically over the course of the game. And oh no, that's a scout right there, and that is another dead villager from Nicov. I mean, the timing of that was perfect. Some low HP scouts, villagers, just come in, pick one off. And yeah, that tower's gone as well. So Nicov's been an annoyance, but he's not done... Oh no, there's another dead vill. Yeah, Fat Dragon is far ahead now. That's 5 vill advantage to Vivi. And Vivi has Slavic farms. So it's, what is this? It's 10 farms for Nicov and 14 Slavic farms for the Fat Dragon. You do the math. He is probably going up to the Castle Age before Nicov this game. Bold prediction. But Fat Dragon now doing wheelbarrow. He's moved on to the gold. He may very well be ready to go up to Castle very soon. So we see another watchtower coming up here. The scouts as well, getting in there doing some good damage. Nicov might be up to Castle pretty quick if he skips on wheelbarrow day again. But obviously the economy is going to be so in favor of Fat Dragon here. If wheelbarrow is done as he goes up to the Castle Age, and the timing of that Castle Age is not affected too much, which I don't think it will be. Yeah, he's going to be up very, very soon. Nicov, meanwhile, defending for now with a couple of towers and some spears. And we'll see if he can develop this into the Castle Age and somehow find an advantage once he reaches Castle. Celtic Siege could be the difference maker here. Some people in the chat calling this a Nicov Titanic, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily a Titanic just yet. But wow, suddenly 1,000 food in the bank for Fat Dragon, and the Castle Age is in. Let's take a look at the food gathered by the time both players reach Castle. I think that'll be an interesting metric to look at. It's going to be interesting to see who has the most food, or the total food gathered rather, by the time both players reach Castle. And I know it's obviously going to favor Fat Dragon. I'm just curious as to how much it will favor him. And it's also kind of funny to think, like, Nikov's trying to trush Vivi. Well, don't trush the trusher, because you're going to get trushed back. And Vivi's doing exactly that. Towers coming up all over the place. Villager here trapped. Tower coming up on the gold. On the second gold of Nicov as well. He's got the tower here, but it doesn't really protect the gold that much. And in fact, Nicov, he's not really even on the gold. He's only got 2 villagers gathering gold right now. And instead, you know, he's going to be adding an extra barracks, and I imagine going into Pike and probably Scorpions? I want to say Scorpions, but maybe some Mangonels as well. But yeah, that tower's up. You bet that tower's up. And I don't think it can reach those villagers. It's too far away. But if Bodkin Arrow comes in, it could. It could absolutely. It's just a question of whether or not Fat Dragon wants to bother with Bodkin Arrow or not. If he's going for a primarily infantry-based army of long swordsmen. That's right, folks. Man-at-Arms currently in queue, and you bet Long Swordsman's going to be on the way. So, Castle Age is in for Fat Dragon. We'll wait for it to come in for Nicov. Then we'll compare the foods. Food gathered, that is. Nikov's about to hit Castle in a few seconds. And then we'll take a look. A lot of pikes coming out for Nicov here, and you bet those Long Swordsmen are going to do well. Here he is. He's up to Castle. Oh my god, it's 1,100 extra food for Fat Dragon. 200 extra gold. About the same amount of stone. And just a little bit less wood. Siege Workshop coming up here for him as well, but there's a lot of spearmen there. And there's the Scorpions from Fat Dragon as well here. He's going full anti-pike. Full anti-infantry. Meanwhile, Nicov going out with 2 Siege Workshops. Oh yeah, that's 2 Siege Workshops. 2 Mangonels, which should counter the Scorpions quite well. And that could work. That could work. And I mean, if he gets a couple of nice shots off, he could even deal with the Long Swordsman if he uses attack ground. But actually, he's switching into a ram. So it should be fine for Nicov here. And maybe Nikov's going to go into long swords as well. Okay. Don't lose the Mangonel. That would be silly. He's going to be able to repair it, though, so it's fine. Knight coming in, though. Although now there are the pikes. So should be able to keep that Mangonel in tip-top condition. This one here should also get some repairs. And TC should protect it. Should be fine. And now the army of Fat Dragon coming in. Long Swordsman on the field. But he is taking a terrible fight between 2 towers. Don't really want him to be here. And at the same time, Nicov expanding to the gold at the back. Still, though, look at the gold. Look at the concentration of gold. It's here, it's here, it's here, and it's here. It's all up on that north and east side of the map. And Nicov needs to control that. Without that gold, he is in big trouble this game. And right now, he's only got access to the gold in the back. So once again, he's in the same position as he's found himself in 4 of the previous games, which is the entire series up until this point. He absolutely has to get back some gold control. It's the only way. It is the only way. Good uphill shot, though, and that's the Celtic Siege in its full power right there. Faster firing siege. It's such a nice bonus. And even the Scorpions coming out for Nicov as well. That's what I want to see. I was thinking Scorpions as soon as I saw this longswords. And this is going to be the war of the siege, it seems. Fat Dragon sticking for now on the 1 town center, though. So he may fall behind in villages over the next couple of minutes. And, well, with Scorpions out on the field and Mangonels and everything in the mix here, it might be quite difficult for Fat Dragon to actually win an engagement here. The Mangonel on the hill, though, could do some good damage, but Nicov reacts very quickly to bring the Scorpions back, and he gets his pikes onto the Mangonel there. Will take it down. He's got the help of the tower as well. Nikov's doing a really good job at the moment. 33 kills to 27 deaths, and keep in mind, some of those kills have been expensive siege units as well, although he does still end up losing 2 Mangonels to those Long Swordsmen. Those Long Swordsmen don't even have +2 defense, and they're still able to walk straight up to the Mangonels and take them out, which is quite shocking, really, actually. Looks like that Mangonel will go down as well. And, man, I want to know the resources invested and the resources lost into military units so far this game. Vivi is 1 TC at the moment, going all in on this aggression. Is he making enough ground? It looks like he might be starting to overwhelm Nicov here. Nicov can't get that TC up, and he can't keep his Scorpions alive with the sheer number of long swordsmen coming out. And that was the GG right there. He doesn't play on. He doesn't play on from that position. Vivi once again with the forward base keeps Nicov on the back foot. And that's a 1 TC aggression from Vivi. Full long swords and siege. That's just awesome. You don't see that every day. That's very cool. And once again, Vivi just like locking down those forward gold spots. It's a sort of repeat now for 5 games, or 6 games even, almost, where Nicov has this forward gold. And, well, Fat Dragon's like, well, I'm going to put a tower on that. I'm going to build 4 buildings on that. And, yeah, you bet I'm going to actually lock it down and make sure you can't gather it. So, Vivi continuing to abuse the maps. And I've got to say, I'm very impressed at the moment with Vivi's play in this series. Well done. It is now match point for Vivi, though. He has only got to win 1 more game, and the series will be his. We'll see if Nicov can start to pull it back. I mean, it wouldn't be a reverse sweep, but I mean, it would definitely be pretty cool to see if Nicov can start to pull this back. I mean, it's a tall order now, but maybe if he gets a better map, if he gets a gold in the back or something like that, then perhaps he can. To think as well, Vivi wanted to restart that map. I mean, that's one of the most surprising things to me. Like, wanting to restart that map. That was such a good map for him compared to Nikov's map. I mean, obviously, usually when you're calling a restart, you don't really know what your opponent's map looks like because it's so early in the game and the restart has to be called. So you can't really go and scout your enemy and be like, oh, they have this really great map, I'm going to call a re. It's really a case of, oh, I'm not happy with my map, or, oh, my sheep are in an awful, or my boar in an awful position, sorry. I'm gonna call a re for that. Or my gold is just all in front, I'm going to call a re for that. But either way, Robo said no rees, so no rees. You get what you're given, and if you play enough games of Arabia, eventually you'll have an equal number of good maps and an equal number of bad maps, I imagine. So game 6 coming up, and both players have now used Celts, and both players have now used Aztecs. Interestingly, both players won with Aztecs. It's the only civ that both players have won with, because Nicov has obviously only won 1 game so far. And they've both played quite different civs other than that. I mean, Nicov hasn't taken Franks, Mayans, or Slavs yet. And Vivi hasn't taken Chinese, or Mongols, or Malians. We may see Malians or something along those lines for Vivi next. And I think Vivi really, in this series, just picking classically strong civs. But yeah, I think that Nicov from here, he may very well take the Slavs in the next game. I think they're too good not to take. And of the civs he's taken so far, you know, you could argue that Slavs would be better than Chinese, for example. Like, they are such a strong civ. So, perhaps we will see the Slav pick for Nicov. Indians could also be on the cards for either of these players. They're also extremely strong. Incas haven't been picked very often at all, actually, in any of these series. I can't remember the last time we saw Incas. Indians are shit. Disagree. I don't think they're shit at all. I think they're very strong. But they... I mean, as the series... I mean, they're not going to be the first pick. I mean, no one's going to go Indians first pick. But by the time we're getting to sort of game 6 and 7 here, they're absolutely a reasonable pick at this point. But yeah, there's still some great civs left for both players. And who knows what they're going to go with next. It's very unlikely to be a mirror civ, though, and we haven't seen mirrors at any point so far in this series. So I'll let you know when the countdown starts. Should be in a few moments here. And like I say, it is match point, so if Vivi does win this, he will get a 5-1 victory and take the $150 for himself. If Nicov manages to pull it back, well, who knows how far this series may go. The 1 minute 30 has begun, and we'll have about approximately 1 minute now till we get into game number 6. I'm wondering, though, Nicov, he adapted so well. In the one game that he did win, he really adapted very well. I think from Nicov, I'd like to see more aggression, and I get it. Last game, he tried to be more aggressive. He really tried to be more aggressive. Tried to get up in Vivi's face with the towers, but I don't think it was executed as well as it could have been. And if anything, maybe playing more defensively and securing his own gold would have been the better approach. I think maybe going aggressive but not committing to towering, and then using towers to defend your own gold or walling up could be a better approach for Nicov here. But looks like we've got Mayans Mongols. So 2 civs that we've seen already so far this series. Down to the south of the map here in game number 6 is Nicov. He's going to be playing as the Mayans, and he'll be playing in the blue for what could potentially be his last game here if he's not able to get his way back into this series and win this one. Then Fat Dragon, Vivi, will take the series home. We will see Vivi spawning up to the north of the map in the red, and he's going to be playing as the Mongols in this one. So, like I say, 2 civs that we have seen picked before. This time, it's Nicov on the Mayans and Vivi on the Mongols. Now, early game, this could go very well for the Mayan player, as they can deal with that early Mongol aggression if they go for men-at-arms. And then, of course, with their cheaper archer production, they can ideally wall up a little bit and sit behind walls, buy some time for themselves with some spears and get some archers out. But might be difficult for Vivi. This time, the look of the draw, not so good. This time, his gold quite far out to the right side of his base. Yes, he could wall up to the edge of the map, but that's really far from his TC. And yes, he could take this gold in the back as well, but very raidable because it is so far away. And then, of course, the extra gold and stone, it's really far forward. The left side of his base, a lot more open. Has got nice berries and deer, though. I mean, I love it when I get this. Or when I see this, it's so good. You just mill the berries like normal, and wow, the deer are right there. You don't have to spend any time pushing them. Instead, you can go forward, and you can actually just go and scout your enemy, which is fantastic. So he may just end up taking the deer first with the vills, sort of take it long distance once he does the mill. But yeah, we'll take a look at Nicov's map. This time it looks a lot better for him. He hasn't actually found his sheep in the back, but I think he will find them in a second. His scout's heading that way now, as he's actually about to grab his second boar right now as well. But yeah, he's got this nice back wood line. He's got this gold in the back as well. The berries off to the side. The stones are both at the front, so that could be awkward if Vivi did try some kind of tower thing. But I think it's unlikely here for Vivi to go for towers. Well, I say it's unlikely. I mean, it's Vivi, right? He could always go for towers. But I don't know. I don't see it happening just yet. I think he'll play more standard with the Mongols here. He might see this and think, yeah, I'm going to put some towers on that. And with the Mongol incredibly fast uptime, might get away with it. Time will tell. Time will tell. Nicov, though, going to be walling that stone in. So you can see Like, I was just saying before this game started, maybe just playing more defensively and walling those important resources in is the approach he needs to take. And lo and behold, there we go. It might have taken him 5 games, but in game number 6, it's minute like 5 when he started walling, and he's still walling here. Still closing off the front of his base, and that's good, right? Like, he's actually going to secure the front of his base. If Vivi comes forward with towers, it's kind of okay. He could still grab this stone and put up a defensive tower in time to save it. But Vivi coming forward with towers here, less likely. I mean, it's clear he's going for man-at-arms, and it's clear he wants to be aggressive here with the man-at-arms. It's just a question of whether he comes forward with vills to add the towers as well. But he should also see the walls fairly soon, and with the walling being spotted, he may decide against coming forward with the towers as well. We'll see. We'll find out in just a few seconds, actually. Nicov, not up to feudal yet. 22 vills. He's even adding a 23rd vill right here. And seems to be in no rush to get up quickly against the Mongol player. And, oh, okay, there you go. He is going forward with vills. And Nikov's going to scout that. So there you go. We will see the forward vills. I'm like, well, I kind of wanted to say that he wouldn't tower because it just, I don't know. I feel like he sees the walls, right? Like, does it make sense to tower? Maybe he doesn't see the walls well enough. But he might be able to break through before Nicov gets up to feudal, because Nikov's going up to feudal on 23 vills, which is a little later than you'd normally expect. He's going to make some defensive militia here. And there's the first tower going up on the stone. Nikov's going to build a second layer of wall behind it. I think that's really smart. Try and stop them from breaking through so quickly. Give him time to get his own mining camp up. Like I said, he should, in theory, be able to get a tower up here to defend this. And if he walls up behind this tower quickly, then he'll definitely delay them getting in. Which is pretty good. And he'll be up to feudal in time. His wood line at the back, though. Oh, that's good. The TC can... Oh, yes. Look at that. The TC kills off one of those men-at-arms instantly. And Nicov now with the 3 militia at full health will be able to add men-at-arms himself and get a tower up on the stone, like I say. So it should be no problem for him, to be honest. And this is why I don't think Vivi should have come forward with the tower, because I actually think it's a bit of a waste here. But with that said, he could try and batter down the tower. Would be a little risky. And oh, wow, he actually gets in on the back. Doesn't kill a villager, I think, though. It's only 1 kill so far for Nicov. And now it's 2 kills for Nicov as he finds the scout. Gets pushed up to the hill. Obviously, Fat Dragon has less HP on his man-at-arms, so he can't really fight that too easily. And, well, that tower there goes up for Nicov on the stone. So that's defended successfully. And there's no way now for Vivi to really deny the stone from Nicov here. He could come forward even with the man-at-arms and try and take out the tower. It might be a little bit of a waste. If the villagers are in it, he might lose too much health. But if the villagers leave, then he could absolutely take that tower down with men-at-arms. But Vivi actually going to be adding in extra men-at-arms here. Should be an interesting fight here, though, as the villagers come in. Nicov needs to back away. And, oof, does lose a men-at-arm there in that fight. But might add some more. The problem is he's just not got the food for it right now. He's not really got much food income at all. He's got the 4 on berries and he's got the 4 farms. It's not a lot. And there's another tower from Vivi. He really wants to deny that stone, but the tower from Nicov can defend it. He's already been on the stone for a little while. He's got the tower now in defense. I'm surprised Vivi doesn't try and fight, perhaps, downhill against that tower with those men-at-arms, but doesn't want to risk it. Too close to the barracks, there could be more men-at-arms popping out, and that's exactly what's happening. So he's going to come back to try and hit the wood line. Nikov's going to spot that immediately. Extra line of sight on the Eagle Scout is nice, of course, and we'll probably batter that down with vills and build a defensive tower as well. Should see more men-at-arms coming out, I think. He's got to be careful here, though. He could lose villagers, as those men-at-arms, they might be quite low in health, but they have high DPS against vills at this stage of the game. Oh, no, he has got 3 men-at-arms of his own, though, so it should be fine. Nicov here may just be able to do this. Oh, he's going to lose one villager, though. And maybe lose a second vill. Got to be so careful. 97% on the tower, and he will batter this tower down, it seems. Well defended by Nicov. Very well defended by Nicov here. And that tower will go down from Fat Dragon there as well. So far, the tower rush from the Dragon has not been all too effective. There's some kind of low HP men-at-arms in here. It looks like Nikov's going to come ahead in that fight because the men-at-arms from Fat Dragon weren't always fighting there. So he should be able to batter that down with vills. Then he's got his own reinforcing men-at-arms, giving him the advantage. He does lose one villager earlier on, but he's actually ahead on vills in total right now, and will pull a little bit further ahead maybe by killing the remaining vills out on this hill. There is another man-at-arms coming in though, so again, does have to back away from there. But what a messy start to this game. But Nicov well defended. He does take down this tower as well on the front. And like I say, with this map and with the way he walled this up early, he really prevented any realistic tower rush from Vivi. And I think Vivi's tower rush attempt was really kind of futile. There's a couple of close moments where, you know, he nearly managed to pull something off, but it just wasn't working out. He's bringing more vills forward now. It's like, okay, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Okay, yeah, I'll bring 4 more villagers forward. And Jubian in the chat, like, Nicov has too many villagers on stone. He's only got 4. And it's pretty smart of Nicov to actually keep this many vills on stone, because this is still Vivi, and Vivi is actually sending 4 more vills across the map to continue building more towers. So if Nicov can actually counter them, then he'll be absolutely fine. And he's putting more towers up here on the right side of his base, you know, just locking it down. And it might be wise for him to build another tower on the front somewhere as well, just to stop him from getting in there as well. But Vivi's wasted a lot of villager seconds so far this game, walking across the map. Resources gathered. We'll take a quick look. Wow. Okay, that's awesome. That's really surprising. Vivi's actually ahead on resources gathered. On everything. Ahead on food, ahead on wood, ahead on stone, ahead on gold. So resources gathered, I mean, he's actually ahead there, which is, like I say, that is surprising. Because he's sent a lot more villagers across the map. He's even behind by 5 villagers. I mean, he's obviously just had them working more effectively at this point. But I don't think that will stay that way for much longer, as Nicov here will be pulling ahead now in resource income due to his higher villager count. And he'll have no problem taking out this tower as well. Oh, he's trying to... Looks like he's trying to wall his villager in there. And what is this tower? What is this for a tower? Oh my goodness. Vivi, please, what is this? It's in the middle of nowhere. Nikov's having none of it. He's just gonna throw up more defensive towers, no problem. Oh my goodness. What is that for a tower? I guess that's to try and stop the villager from battering this tower down, but even still, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and well, Nicov should be able to get his tower up in defense. Neither player has fletching just yet, so neither of them have the extra range. And he's trying to use the Eagle Scout here to draw aggro, but yeah, he eventually gets his tower up. So Nikov's well defended there for now. Vivi at home, very open by the way, could be very susceptible to some raiding. Doesn't even have a spearman out. Well, actually, my bad. It's he's playing as the Mongols against the Mayans, not the other way around. So he wouldn't have spearmen. Doesn't make sense. But doesn't have an archery range, doesn't have a stable or anything. But he does have a market, and that's enough to buy his way up to the castle age. And so Vivi will be up to castle here, while Nicov is just getting wheelbarrow and is still far out from the castle age at the moment. I'm surprised at Vivi's castle timing here. Like I said, it's very impressive from Vivi that he's had so many idle vills and had so much walking time, and he's behind by a good number of vills as well, and yet he's still up to castle at a reasonable time and still has more resources gathered in total this game. Like I say, I don't think that will stay that way for much longer, but it is quite surprising that that is the case. Nicov probably just getting a little bit too much stone now at this point, but once he does get to the castle age, he can throw down a castle, he can lock down this stone, And once he can get onto plumed archers, he'll be a pretty happy bunny, I can imagine. So his Eagle Scout at the back here, looking to see what he can find. I wonder what he sees. He really doesn't see much at all, does he? Doesn't know where he's mining stone. He doesn't really know where his wood line is, although he can probably guess it's to the left here. Castle Age is in for the dragon, and the 2 stables are up. So double knight production now coming in for our Mongol player. We'll see what he can do with that. Obviously, there's a lot of towers up for Nicov here, so knights getting in is all well and good, but if they don't have upgrades, then the towers from Nicov could deal with them quite nicely. Depends on the upgrades here, and yeah, he doesn't have bloodlines. He only has +1 defense. Nicov, though, doesn't have fletching. So his towers are only doing 5 damage, which 3 defense on the knights isn't all too good. I mean, he would benefit from fletching here. Absolutely. He would also benefit from a castle, and it looks like that might be what he's going for, but the knights are on the way in. And of course, he doesn't have ballistics, because he's not in the castle age either. Fat Dragon now coming in with bloodlines, coming in with knights, and he's going to be getting onto these villas, forcing a lot of villas to go idle. And this is just going to make it hell for Nicov right now. He's got to make sure all of the wood lines are walled up. He's got to bring all the villas back to safety. And he's got to idle the majority of his economy until he gets up to the castle age. Look at this, trying to wall up here at the back, trying to get enough stone now for a castle once he reaches the castle age, but he's wide open at the front. And he defended so well from the tower rush, but the macro of Vivi is just so on point. Vivi's macro is incredibly good, and pulling himself up to the castle age here, getting that power spike from the knights, forcing so many idols. Nearly half of Nikov's eco now not gathering resources. But he does buy himself the stone. 200 stone being bought, the castle now being built on the front of his base. And damn right he's going to build it with every villager he's got. That's like 20 villas building that castle right there. Interestingly, this house has blocked these villagers from dropping off wood, but he'll probably fix that at some point. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, okay. He'll get this castle up as quickly as he can. A quick gate here. Quick walls here. He's going to make sure that those knights can't deny this. And if that castle did get denied, I mean, that would be a catastrophe for Nicov here. But if he can get that castle up, well, you know how it is. The Mayans are the Mayans, and the plumed archers are the plumed archers, and they're just damn good. Question is, does he have the eco for plumed archers? Well, the answer is actually yes. He does actually have a good amount of wood and gold. He can start plumed archer production. He can get out to more wood, and he's got plenty of wood in the bank, so adding in more TCs isn't a problem once he can get the stone for them. That's not going to be coming in too quickly, though, with only 2 villagers on stone, but he does secure the front of his base with that castle. It's not ideal. It's not on the hill here, which would have been a much better position for it, but it's good enough for now, and it's going to sort of stem the bleeding a little bit, as Fat Dragon won't be able to run in there with his knights straight away and cause havoc. And oh my goodness, that was an overchop. There were knights in the wood line. Thankfully, there was also a lot of towers to keep those villagers safe. Plumed archers now coming out. Nicov lacking upgrades, lacking food, kind of mismacroed. I think he's got way too much on wood right now, but he's also going for a university. Bodkin arrows coming in and a monastery, so it makes sense to have that much on the wood for the time being, but still, I think he needs to seed some farms down at some point soon as well, as we're getting more villagers on the gold. He's still only got 7 villas on gold, and one of them's idle, or 3 of them are idle even. So his gold income is also pretty shoddy at the moment. But he is starting to make plumes, and the plumes do have bodkin arrows, so they're able to deal with the knights quite easily, in fact. And wow, what a TC placement. What a TC placement right there. We'll talk about that in a minute. But he does pick up one of the monks quite quickly there, and well, deleting the TC is wise, because he might not hold the front of his base here. But what is that for a TC placement? I mean, yes, his gold is in an awkward position, but like he could come back here and place a TC. He's going to do one here, which is fine. But there? Maybe he meant to add a siege workshop, but misclicked for a TC. I don't know. I will give Nicov the benefit of the doubt on that. And yeah, Vivi adding monks is kind of a strange one against plumes. Very easily be microed down. But yeah, Nicov got his university up. He's behind now by about 14 villagers, which isn't too bad, actually. That's not too bad. He will start to increase his villager production. Obviously, he's going to have that second TC up in a moment. And the third TC, well, who knows where that's going to go. Maybe it's going to come up over here, right next to the edge of the map on the other side. But yeah, he's got some siege. He's got a monastery up as well. He's got all three of those castle age buildings, the castle to boot. So should be okay now. And there's still no +2 on these knights. So this is good for Nicov. He'll find the knights quite easily here and then obviously run away because there's too many of them. But without +2, they really do struggle against even a small number of plumes. Nicov here just trying to get enough plumes out. But this reminds me a lot of a Miguel versus Fire game from last week, where the Mayan player was in a pretty awkward position. And it looked like they were going to be able to come back, but then they just got overwhelmed. And we'll see here if Nicov can come back from quite an awkward position and from being behind an eco. And I've got to say, he did definitely deal very well with the knight raiding. Did really wall up very effectively and prevent too much damage from happening from those knights. Obviously now we've got some skirms coming in. I was going to say, where are the upgrades? But they're coming in as well. Bodkin Arrow and Elite Skirmish are being researched. So Fat Dragon will at least have decent skirms. As well as a castle in the middle of the map, securing his third gold. That is his third gold. So still, Nicov doesn't really have access to his gold piles here or here. Oh, nice quick wall as well. That was a very good quick wall. Paying close attention. There was, I think, no, there was no hole here. Okay, that was really close. Gets a gate and a wall real quick and blocks those knights from coming in. But yeah, I was going to say, he doesn't have his extra golds anywhere at the moment. But that's okay. He can expand there later. They're not in really... I mean, this one's kind of awkward because of its position. But this gold back here could definitely be expanded to quite comfortably. It's just the fact that Fat Dragon's going to have castle in the middle of the map and have a lot of map control again for another game. But Nikov's up to Imp. And they both have a single castle, so and Ballistics is about to come in. So if Nikov's up to Imp this fast compared to Vivi, then he could very well take down that castle very quickly. He doesn't know it's there yet, but I'm sure he'll find out. Good micro as well, taking out 2 mangonels for 1. And will eventually... Oh, he keeps it alive! Oh, that was so clutch. That was incredible. That mangonel must have been on 1 HP. That was perfect. Keeps the mangonel alive, well, for now. The castle... Can he... No, he can't repair. He can't repair that. The castle won't come up in time either, but the knights do get it. Still, that was really clutch. One more hit and that would have been lost. So, Nikov's really paying close attention. It just goes to show he's absolutely not demotivated here. He is still fighting at full power to pull himself back into this series. It's always interesting to me. It's a question of whether or not players will fight tooth and nail to the very end, or whether they'll lose some motivation as the series starts to get a little bit out of hand. But he's still coming back a little bit. Collecting up some relics in that forward monastery. She do. The plumed archers, +3, and chemistry coming in, making knights very easy to kill. Fat Dragon going up to Imperial as well, but I'm concerned because Nicov hasn't seen the castle here. And without seeing that castle, he's not been prompted to make trebs. So, I mean, he probably will make some trebs once he sees the treb from Vivi. But he really needs to be careful. This could be a good raid, but wow. Fat Dragon, he's so ahead of the curve. He's so ahead of the curve. He's building a castle right in time for that raid to arrive at the back of his base. I mean, that is just impressive. Like, really preemptively. Like, he knew that those plumes were coming, and he's like, yep, whacking up a castle right there. Really good timing on that. And that now means that Nicov will get caught out of position here with the Skirms and the Knights. Really whittling down his Plumed Archer production. And I feel like this is going to go very badly for Nicov soon. I'm not feeling too confident, to be honest. I mean, maybe I should be, but because he's the Mayans, right? But his military count is really suffering a little bit. He's not in a great position with in terms of map control. But then, what is Fat Dragon's military count? It's not great either. It's mostly Skirms, some Mangonels. And Nicov now, it's like, yep, deploy the Trebs. Take down the ranges. Stem the skirmisher production. And little does he know, there's a castle right there that he could go kill. Although maybe it wouldn't be so easy because there are Mangonels in... Jesus, that hurts. Losing a Treb to 3 Mangonels, which just completely undefended. Oh man. That hurts to see that. And welcome to Anarion LV. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for the sub. Thank you for the support. We really appreciate that. We hope you're enjoying the games, and we really appreciate your subscription. I almost said donation, but it's not a donation. Like, it kind of is a donation in a way, but it's a subscription. So yeah, Fat Dragon now with 2 Trebs, and Vivi with nil Trebs. Doesn't even look like he's interested in building Trebs. He's making an Eagle Warrior switch. That's right. Fat Dragon going into Onager. Ooh, this could be very good for Nicov, actually. I tell you what, if he goes into Onager, it's quite a big investment, Onager. And continues to make Skirms. I mean, he does have 3 castles and Mangudai now, but they're fairly unupgraded. Doesn't have elite. Doesn't have Parthian tactics. I don't know if he has other upgrades. I know he has ballistics. I don't know if he has Thumb Ring or not, but yeah. This could actually work out quite well. The switch into Eagles here could come at a really good time. He just doesn't have the resources for Elite Eagle. Because, surprise, surprise, he doesn't have enough gold. This gold's still being denied at the back. But, yeah, plumes are decent in this position right now. While the Mangudai are unupgraded, they can get in there and do good damage. I mean, the plumed archers themselves aren't upgraded. In fact, Nikov's going to favor upgrading the plumed archers here. And that's okay, actually. I mean, he's got enough of them. He's got more than enough to justify the upgrade. And that Treb's going down as well. Nicely done by Nicov there, taking the score lead with that one. But I do think that the Eagle Warrior switch is going to be really nice. He's may very well catch Vivi by surprise. If he gets Elite Eagle and starts to run in on the flank, he's going to be able to get a lot of raiding damage done. And he'll be able to counter the Onagers really easily with them as well. Meanwhile, though, there's 3 Trebs deploying on the right side. Didn't see those coming. There's the 2 Eagles. They'll come take down the Onager, no sweat. They'll tank the Skirms, no problem. Got to keep that castle alive, but with the plumes there, he can basically take down the Trebs, no problem. As they aren't going to be stopped. There's nothing there to counter them. And now we've got a pause. So, game is currently paused. Just if you could confirm, Ham, with Robo that the game is actually paused, that would be great. And it's not just a Voobly bug like last time. But this could be where... oh no, I'm paused now. All good. Good stuff. Looks like he'll actually take down the other Trebs as well here, which is a really good trade for Nicov. He's killed a lot of Trebs so far, and the Onagers, which are now going to be quite ineffective. So Fat Dragon making some big investments into stuff that is not paying off. And nearly, very, very nearly denying this TC. Oh, he got it. TC goes up. Garrison. Please, Garrison. He's not noticed. Okay. Well, that's fine. It's fine, guys. Totally okay. He got 3 Trebs on the right side, at least. MVP villager. Absolutely. Now we see Elite Mangudai and Parthian tactics coming in. Yes. While Nicov is going for his plate mail armor for +4 on the Eagles. I'm wondering where the Eagles went to. Where did they get to? I thought he had loads more than this. He did have loads more than this. Where are they? Oh, they're back. No, that's his plumes. Taking out the Knights, which is still in the back of his base. Maybe he just lost them on the front here. I don't know, but I swear he had a really solid number. But the Mongols, they have some tricks of their own up their sleeve. I mean, they have elite Mangudai. They're also fully upgraded now as well, whereas these plumed archers are still missing +4, which is currently being researched. And also they have Hussar, which at the moment we see light cav, I think. No Hussar yet, but Mongols absolutely have the raiding potential as well. So it's not home and dry for Nicov just yet, but he's in a good position to come back into the series with this game. I feel like this siege right here is asking to get taken down by a few Eagles. Unfortunately for Nicov, I mean, doing Elite Eagle Warrior is a little bit of a tall order, as well as doing Elite Plumed Archer at the moment. He just can't get all of the upgrades, and it's just, yeah, a little bit too expensive right now. Fat Dragon is actually finishing off the upgrades for his Mangudai. He, pardon me, didn't have Thumb Ring, as it turns out. But Nikov's starting to push this back. Starting to maybe get some momentum in the middle of the map, and will actually take down this castle. Meanwhile, on the right side, Vivi's almost mined out the gold there. So, you know, it's not ideal if he loses the castle, but it's also not the end of the world if this right flank were to go down. He's already grabbed the most important resource out on this right flank. And for now, Nicov doing hoardings while he tries to protect that castle. But I'd like to see from Nicov an attempted raid. Like, there's so much eco here that's very undefended, very raidable by Eagles. I guess, like I said, the problem here is gold. Although right now, he could build up a good surplus of resources because he actually, at this point, is pop capped. That's so good for him. In fact, this is probably the closest game, maybe the longest game we've had so far this series. Both players approaching pop cap here. But Nicov with plumed archers, Fat Dragon with Mangudai. Looks like those plumes are running in for the Onager there. Nice micro. Trying to split before the Onager fires, but he will actually start to deny this gold on the front, which is good. That's actually Fat Dragon's third gold, but meanwhile on the right side, Nikov's being denied his gold as well. Onager's firing onto villagers. Oh no! Villagers getting flattened by molten rocks. Not like this. It looks like Nicov here getting El Dorado now for his Eagles. I mean, that's an interesting order of upgrades, isn't it? El Dorado before elite upgrade, before any attack upgrades, just straight in with the health, and oh my goodness. The Onagers, man, they need to be taken care of. But that's not so easy when they're guarded by a big mass of Mangudai, and I worry that Nicov may have missed his window of opportunity now. These Onagers are insane. Look at this. I think the villagers have died to Onagers more than they've died to any other unit this game. They're just shooting over everything. But at the same time, he is raiding through the middle, and El Dorado, with Elite Eagle Warrior, he'd have 100 hit points. So El Dorado giving them a lot of extra life. And if you think about it, the tankiness of this unit is much more valuable at this point than the attack of this unit. They will kill villagers if they get into his eco, even with 7 attack. So, you know, El Dorado versus Elite, it's only 5 extra HP for Elite. And, well, I guess the Elite gives you the extra armor as well. I don't know. Obviously, it's better to get both, but El Dorado is fine. Gives him a lot of extra health pool. And, well, Nicov here getting pushed right back now. That was 200 pop just a second ago. He's now down to 175. He may have a few too many villas. I don't know. He's at 140 villas, which for the Mayans is quite high. But his resources aren't floating too high either. He's now adding a lot more barracks. So we're going to see some pikes coming in, but we should see more eagles as well. The problem is this right side gold has now been denied. This right side gold, he needs this back. This back gold is okay for now. It doesn't have much saturation there. This could be better if you built a mining camp on the other side, but in come the Mangadai. Although they're actually going to bypass that and go straight to the back here where there's a lot of wood and farms and oh no. Oh no, yeah. Nicov's in big trouble now. He needs to deal with this ASAP and his army's out of position. It's on the wrong side of the map. He's going to lose a lot of vills out here if the Mangadai stop and kill them. Nope, they're going in deeper. That could be quite good, actually. A lot of villagers dying out here, though. You see the dead bodies. Oh my goodness. So many dead vills. Nicov actually had time to react to that because Vivi could have stopped here and killed a bunch of vills. But Nicov saw it and he retreated the villagers away, so he can send the plumes out to deal with it now. However, at the same time, the TC on the left side is going to go down, and the gold on the right has still not been secured, because every time he goes to that side to secure it, he has to send the army away to the left side to secure that, and then Fat Dragon pushes back on the right side. So, once again, Nicov has 0 gold income right now. Even though he has a gold in the back of his base and a gold to the right of his base, he still has 0 gold income, which is a huge problem. He only has 2 relics, so that's about it. Down to now 99 vills, which again, as the Mayans, it's okay, but he still has to secure the gold, because without the gold, he is doomed, essentially. The rest of the gold is being hoovered up by Fat Dragon in the middle of the map. The right side gold is now gone. And that's it. The GG is being called. Nicov just feeling a little bit overwhelmed. There wasn't sort of like this big moment that sort of defined the game. It was just a case of being whittled down, slowly having his confidence eroded in this one. And just after an hour there, he'll call it, as Vivi will lock down the gold spots again. And that just seems to be a big theme in Vivi's playstyle this series. He's been all over the map, very focused on gold control in every game. And it's paid off so well in so many of the games. Obviously now Vivi's going to take the series 5-1 after winning that final game. And it's crazy to me that Nicov here, this back gold, it's the back of his base and he gets pushed off it. At 50 minutes, I feel like he should have had this left side walled, locked down, so that he couldn't get raided. The right side is admittedly a lot harder to defend, because this gold is really exposed. It's awkwardly placed on a hill, so you can't really put a TC there. There's no real way to easily wall that right side. But, you know, it was another game where Fat Dragon was in control. It's another game where he had the map control majority of the game. He was keeping Nicov sort of on the back foot and locking down the gold control. So very well played by Vivi. I really actually thought that Nicov would be able to come back into that game. He was making a bit of a comeback, but in the end, just a lack of gold. He couldn't upgrade all the units he wanted to. He couldn't afford to make Eagle Warriors at the end of that game. And obviously Pikemen just melt to the Mangadai. And Plumed Archers are okay, but there's a lot of tanky Hussar in there as well, making things really difficult for him. So there you go. Very well played by Vivi. He takes the series 5-1. Not as close as last week, of course. Obviously, it was 5-4 last week with Fire and Miguel. But yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised, to be honest with you, that Vivi was so dominant there. I expected Nicov to maybe get at least 3 games in this series. But Vivi had the games on lockdown. And it was the only the Aztec game in game 3 there that you can see Nicov managed to get the win. The rest of it was Vivi playing with just the most powerful civs that he could muster, really. Both players losing, interestingly. Both players losing with the Mayans. Both players winning with the Aztecs. Aztecs still remain dominant, still remain the king of Arabia, it seems. But also, yeah, we didn't see a slab pick from Nicov. And all in all, everything was just Vivi taking those really powerhouse civs and locking down the map. So very well played to him. Congratulations, he wins himself $150, which is not bad for 6 games worth of work, if you want to call it that. He's all right. We'll sort out the payment stuff with him later on. He's telling me his PayPal right now, but we'll sort it out with his translator to make sure that's all sorted. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. But don't go anywhere. We're not done yet. Don't forget, next Friday, another show match. Another Friday, another show match. We'll be bringing you show matches every single Friday here on Escape, so make sure you do follow us and stay up to date with that. As we said, we've done Nicov Vivi today. We did Miguel Fire last week. We did the Max and Yo. We did MBL and Dugao. We did Valessa and Lan. Really high caliber, high tier games and top players every step of the way, every Friday here on this channel. At around the same time, we'll try and post in advance on our Discord when we're actually going to be live. And tomorrow we have ECL as well, so don't forget about that. Escape Champions League 4v4 Americas stage will be here tomorrow at 14 GMT, so a little bit earlier than normal. But yeah, we're going to be playing Mordao now. So if you haven't seen Mordao before, it's a first-person medieval combat game. You play in epic battles of 64 players, 32 on each team. That's insane. It looks amazing. You run around with a big sword or a bow and arrow or a crossbow or an axe, or you get on a horse and you fight. It's like Chivalry, but kind of modern and better and prettier. And so Ham and I are going to be playing that for a little bit. So stick around for Mordao. It's great fun. If you like Age of Empires, then you'd probably be interested in Mordao because it is medieval and it's like first-person AoE, but modern and graphically awesome. So I'm going to be back in a few minutes. I'm going to take a quick break, grab a drink and all that stuff, and we'll be back very shortly with some more Mordao action. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be